May we start this budget debate. Honorable members, we will now proceed with the debate on vote number 7, which is the Department of Health in KwaZulu-Natal. Honorable members, I further wish to inform you that the budget report of 2022-2023 of the Portfolio Committee on Health has been tabled in terms of the rules of this legislature. We will now proceed with the matters on the agenda, being the debate of vote number 7. For 45 minutes, the MEC for Health in KwaZulu-Natal will table her budget speech. Then I take this opportunity to invite Honorable N. Smelane to come to the podium and table her budget speech.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable Sihle Kzn, fellow members of the Executive Council, Chairperson and members of the Health Portfolio Committee, all honorable members, Inkosi Uqiliza, Chairperson of the KwaZulu-Natal House of Traditional Leaders, joining us virtually, mayors, councillors, and Namakosi, Chairperson and members of the Provincial AIDS Council, Head of the Department of Health, Dr. Shabalala and his management, the leadership of my region where I come from, Chairperson, Mzala Nxumalo region, leadership of organized labor, healthcare workers across the length and breadth of KwaZulu-Natal, esteemed citizens of this province, and visitors following these proceedings online, distinguished guests, people of KwaZulu-Natal, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are extremely pleased to be presenting the 2022-23 Vote 7 budget speech under the theme, Delivering Healthcare Imperatives in the Era of COVID-19 and Beyond. Chairperson, as the sixth administration reaches the halfway mark since taking office, we find ourselves having to continue to navigate our way out of increasingly tough times, lurching from one disaster to another. Just as we thought we were recovering from the devastation caused by COVID-19 pandemic, our province was hit by rampant looting, destruction to poverty, as well as the Phoenix massacre which took place in July last year. As if that was not enough, just a month ago, we then were ambushed arguably by the worst floods that ever hit this province or this country for that matter. These floods took the lives of at least 448 people, with many still yet to be accounted for. Scores of other people are without homes as government continues to do its best to alleviate the impact of this disaster. All of this is happening against a backdrop of dwindling financial resources. Increasingly, as the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Health, we are being required to do more with less. In 2019-2020, our budget was 45.2 billion. In 2021, it went up to 49.3 billion, followed by 50.6 billion in 21-22. But for this financial year, 22-23, it has gone down to 49.6 billion. While the 49.6 billion we've received this year might seem like a lot, the truth is that our budget allocation has been reduced drastically by 16 billion rands over the past 3 years. During the financial year 2021, our budget was cut by 4 billion, followed by another cut of 7 billion in 21-22, and another 5 billion during 22-23. So things are tough, but we soldier on. These cuts continue to have dire consequences for the implementation of our programs and the day-to-day running of the department. Let me speak to the impact of the floods, Chairperson. As a response to the floods, and the damage caused to our facilities, we've had to reprioritize certain projects as instructed by Treasury. As a result, we took a decision that the planned maintenance and capital projects that have not reached tender stage this financial year will have The funds originally allocated will now be reprioritized and redirected towards repairing the damage caused during the storm to our infrastructure. The list of the affected hospital is attached and will be provided to the portfolio committee. This is due to the fact that National Treasury has not allocated funding for these repairs at this stage, but on-site assessment for floods damage have been completed and preparations to appoint service providers are currently underway. At the moment, the anticipated cost of repairs is above 200 million rands. We are nevertheless hoping that disaster relief funding will be forthcoming as promised by the national government. Sihlelele ethembeni ke sihlalo ukuthi iyozigcina ifikile imali njengoba sithenjisiwe. Let me salute the workers. As we continue to commemorate Workers' Month, we once again send our heartfelt thanks to our staff at all levels for the superb and courageous manner in which they have responded to the series of disasters that have confronted us. Sithi ukwanda kwaliwa umthakathi. On Thursday, the 12th of May, we will join the world commemorating International Nurses Day at a community outreach program that we are going to be hosting in King Cetshwayo. In further recognition of the hard work and dedication displayed by our staff in general, but more especially COVID-19, we will be bringing back the MEC's Annual Service Excellence Awards, which will be held on the 3rd of June. Here we want to acknowledge all the health workers that worked very hard during COVID-19, and some of them we believe, Chair, might not have been really properly thanked and recognized, and this is what we are going to be doing this financial year, because in the past 2 years we were not able to do so. In the same breath, we would like to express our heartfelt thanks to the government of the African National Congress for the bold and astute leadership that it has consistently shown in the face of all this hardship, and most of which has never been experienced before. It is a mark of unmatched greatness that the ANC of Oliver Reginald Tambo, the ANC of Pixley Isagaseme, the ANC of Albert Luthuli is always able to deal very decisively and effectively with these difficult and unprecedented situations. I'm emphasizing unprecedented, Chair. We are also extremely grateful to our Honorable Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Sihle Zikalala Kzn Budget, as well as the National Department of Health led by Dr. Patla, for the support and guidance that they have continuously given to us. In preparation for this budget speech presentation, we invited public comments on our popular KZN Health Chat multimedia program, where we called on people to make comments and indicate what they would like the department to implement in this financial year. Lapho ke sihlalo ukhona udadewethu osilandelayo ogama lakhe kunguLindelwa Zililo, obhalile, and I quote, wathi mina ngizicelela ukuthi umphathiswa umama ukuthi uma ngizicelela kumphathiswa umama ukuthi uma ibudget ibavumela abandise istaff phela, close quotes. Omunye sihlalo naye ocommentile uphinde wathi igama lakhe uSibo Qadi uthi please, I open quotes, ake nandise istaff ngoba umuntu ugcina esebenza umsebenzi wabantu abathathu eyedwa. Sigcina silwa no supervisor bethu ngenxa nje yokuthi istaff siyashota. Sihlalo ngiyafisa ukusho ukuthi lokho kushiwo hoza kwethu laba babili akuwona manga. Kuyiqiniso ngempela ukuthi ama health workers kuma facilities are really struggling because we are understaffed. Kodwa ke sizozama njengoba kuqala lo nyaka ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi sigcwalise noma sisiqashe istaff lapho esizokwazi ukuthi siqashe khona nangonyaka olandelayo sigcwalise sibone ukuthi sifikaphi. Kodwa lokho abakushoyo ngempela kuyiqiniso. Drawing on the inspiration from the positive sentiments addressed by our patients, Chairperson, even though our department has its work cut out due to the high burden of disease and associated challenges in the province, we are nevertheless moved by some of the positive and uplifting feedback that we continue to receive from the people of KwaZulu-Natal. For instance, we take one of our patients, Ms. Kabo Sithole, hit praises on the Department of Health after admitwe eKluewood sihlalo. Waye appreciate ukuthi indlela ayethithwe ngayo kwakungathi uhleli private facility. Wathi even uma ecabanga indlela akaphatheka ngayo kwi private facility akacabanga ukuthi iyafika kwi-level atreatwa ngayo ngesikhathi ayehleli eClaywood Hospital. Uthi even onesi aba-qualified bonke babekhona bemtreata futhi beloku bemtshela ukuthi cha akakhululeke bona bakuzele ukuzomsiza empilweni yakhe. Uthi uma ebuka nje ubona ukuthi kusho ukuthi ngempela umnyango wezempilo ususendleleni woku-implementa i-NHI and ngiyafisa ukukuconfirma lokho. Chairperson, this example is just a drop in the ocean of people who are thankful to the department for the assistance that they receive from us on a daily basis. We draw a lot of inspiration from this kind of feedback and continue to thank our hardworking and dedicated healthcare workers for the sterling work that they continue to do. Sithi nje nime njalo. Sikusho lokho kodwa sazi ukuthi akhona amazambane abolile athatha igama lo nurse nabahlengikazi abasebenza kahle batreate abantu bakithi ngendlela errong. Sithi kulabo sisendleleni sinibhekile siyeza kunini. And may your positivity and the positivity of those abathinta kahle noma abaphatha kahle abantu bakithi continue to reign and make sure ukuthi it rubs off to the rest of the health workers. On update of COVID-19 Slalo, I will not get into details kodwa ngiyafisa nje ukusho ukuthi siyazi ukuthi kukhishwa ama regulations amasha on COVID-19 kodwa despite the confusion ebecreate ama regulations asa insist ukuthi ukugqoke kwama mask is still necessary. It must continue to be done. Awashonga ukuthi awayekwe ikakhulukazi uma ngabe sisendlini sikwazi ukuthi siqhubeke siwagqoke. Ama regulations athi let's continue to adhere to non-pharmaceutical interventions which include maintenance of social distancing and washing of hands regularly with amanzane nsipho together with the sanitize. Siyasho ke kodwa sihlala ukuthi we are very worried uma sibuka ama infection rate as of the 9th of May kwi province yaKwaZulu Natal sekudlule emhlabeni abantu abawu 16,097 due to COVID. But in the last 24-hour period sesiregister ama infections awu 662 in one day. Kodwa einsukwini ezidlulile besisuka ku 2000 siye ku 1.6 siye ku 1.8. Kuyaswarisha kakhulu ke lokho ngoba kuyakhombisa ukuthi igciwane lisekhona emphakathini and siyafisa abantu bakithi ukuthi bakugade bangathathi ngokuthi ngoba ama regulations asethanjisiwe therefore kusho ukuthi ivirus ayisekho. Isekhona futhi iyabulala uma ngabe abantu bakithi bengagomile. Siyacela abantu bakithi baqhubeke bagome ngoba ukugoma okwamanje is about the only thing esinayo engakwazi ukuthi save impilo zethu. Singawalalela amampunga akhulunywayo and all the myths that are out there. For now it is the only thing that we have that can save our people. Chairperson, abantu abasagomile so far bawu 2.7 million kuphela. Sine number enkulu ewu 4.4 million engakazi ithole vaccinate. Siyacela abantu baKwaZulu Natal ukuthi abaphume ngobuningi babo bahambe bayogoma ngoba iyona nto ekhona iyona nto engasisiza bakithi. Chair, we were deeply honored and humbled in October last year when the family of the struggle icon Irregular thanked us for renaming Eden Hale Hospital after him. We are pleased, Chair, that we also want to indicate, Chair, that we are already at an advanced stage with our plans to rename King Edward Hospital after the distinguished daughter of the soil, Umama Victoria Mxenge. Kuyothi kuphela unyaka King Edward Hospital will be called Victoria Mxenge Hospital. An ANC political activist and struggle icon Umama Mxenge was trained in midwifery at King Edward and worked as a community leader yasemlazi lapho ashonelwa khona dutshulwa khona i-death squad. Ngicabanga ukuthi ke sonke siyazi including umkhwenyana wakhe 4 years earlier had been killed in that light. We are pleased that it's only a matter of time before we rename this hospital after this giant of our liberation movement. Chairperson, we will soon be starting consultations with the community of Emadlangeni under Amajuba district, as well as surrounding areas about plans to rename Nimeya Hospital. Asmazu Nimeya Gwagubani. It is our considered view that our healthcare facilities and other public amenities for that matter should not carry names that are obscure, colonial, or have no significance to the lives of the communities in which they are situated and which they serve. Yingakho ke sizoshintsha isibhedlela ukuze abantu bakhona bakwazi ukurelate naso. Chairperson, in his famous work, The Art of War, ancient Chinese military strategist and philosopher Sun Tzu shares the following words of wisdom about preparing for battle, and I quote, "If you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. close quote. So who is our enemy? And what are the battles that we are facing? According to Stats SA, when it comes to the main causes of natural death in our country, the following 10 are our main enemies: TB, HIV and AIDS, diabetes mellitus, cerebrovascular diseases, ischemic heart diseases, other forms of heart diseases, hypertension disease, influenza and pneumonia, chronic lower respiration diseases, and various cancers. Added to all of these, the World Health Organization tells us that globally, non-communicable diseases, including heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and chronic lung cancer, are on the increase. And they are collectively responsible for almost 70% of all the deaths worldwide. And that includes us in the province of KwaZulu-Natal and in South Africa. According to the World Health Organization, the rise of these NCDs have been driven primarily by 4 major risk factors. And those factors are tobacco use, I hope MEC Pile uyangizwa, physical inactivity, the harmful use of alcohol, and an unhealthy diet. It goes without saying, Chairperson, that in order for us to turn this situation around in our province, we need to strengthen our systems and ensure that we create health awareness, which must lead to behavioral change. We need to do this while maximizing access to disease screening and testing, providing follow-up treatment and support services, and to do so quickly because of the urgent need to cover all the ground lost during the COVID-19 pandemic. Slalo, on forming social partnerships to tackle the burden of disease in the era of COVID-19. The fact that our resources are shrinking demands that we do things differently. If we are to avoid a catastrophe, particularly when it comes to the healthcare sector, we are therefore calling for a social partnership between ourselves as government and the people of this province. A social partnership that must be underpinned by individuals living in a way that enables the prevention of diseases and injuries, promotes screening and testing for diseases early, and refusing to completely outsource responsibility for their own health to government. For instance, we can keep ourselves alive and live longer by 1, getting vaccinated against COVID-19. 2, avoiding substance abuse, practicing, and this is the 3rd one, practicing safe sex and family planning. We will keep ourselves alive and we'll make sure that we will live longer. On patient care, as a caring government, we always put ourselves in the shoes of the people who come to our facilities to seek medical assistance. We do this as part of our quest to improve the quality of care that we offer so that it is of a standard that we would expect ourselves and our relatives to get. It is not enough to have impressive and well-written policies if they do not translate into healing and overall decent experience for those who use our services. One of the very effective ways in which we will be improving the quality of care and overall client experience is through the relaunching of a new and improved Make Me Look Like a Hospital initiative, as pronounced during the State of the Province address by the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal this year. This is a tool to assess and measure the performance of our health facilities against a uniform set of expectations of what constitute quality health care delivery. The non-negotiables that we will be using to measure performance at the facilities under review are as follows, and I will only speak to the titles. Members will read the rest. The first one is patient waiting times. Those need to be improved. Infrastructure improvement and cleanliness, we need to improve them. Infection prevention and control, make sure that that is maintained. Staff attitude needs to change. Professionalism will have to be implemented. One of the first things of ensuring that we are implementing professionalism, we have decided that we are going to implement a 1 unit form across the board on all our nurses. Of course, this is a decision that comes from the Department of Health nationally, but we have started implementing. All the nurses and all the health workers at that particular level are from now on going to be wearing maroon and white, and we have started implementing with the Pixliga Isaga Sebe nurses that started working about a month ago. The availability of medicine, we will ensure that should happen. Improved complaints management system. Members, this is where we are advertising the numbers of all PROs, COs, and district directors so that our people know who to call should they not be getting the quality care that they should be getting. The last one is staff and patient safety. That should be emphasized. Let me then, Chairperson, go to the e-health solution. When the sixth administration assumed office, one of the commitments that we made was to do away with the outdated paper-based record management system in the KZN Department of Health. Although there have been administrative and IT bundles, thank you, our plans in this regard remain firmly on track, and we have commenced with the training of staff as well as procurement of computer equipment in the identified facilities. We have begun to operationalize the system in different phases, of course, at 22 hospitals across the province. And the hospitals are named here, Chair. We have provided the names, but just to name a few, it's Prince Mshieni, Ipixliga Isagaseme Memorial Hospital, Ematate, Ngwelezane, and the list is long. From the beginning of 2023 onwards, we will be adding another or a further 20 hospitals to this list. We have already trained 543 nurses and 183 doctors at Prince Mshieni, and 258 nurses and 32 doctors in Matateni, so that they are able to utilize this system. These are the two facilities where we started with the program. At the same time, we've already procured 265 computers on wheels, which will be utilized during the ward rounds, as well as 1,232 personal computers at Prince Mshieni, Pixliga Isagaseme, and Ematateni. In the new financial year, we will be procuring a further 3,000, and in this financial year, we will be procuring a further 3,026 computers on wheels and desktops, because there is no way you can implement this program, Chairperson, without the equipment that is needed. We are quite excited that the Minister of Health made a pronouncement that he also wants to support this province in the implementation of this program. We are yet to know how that support is going to be. On maternal mortality, Chairperson, the late great O.R. Tambo once emphasized the fact that, and I quote, "The children of any nation are its future. A country, a movement, or a person that does not value its youth and children does not deserve a future," close quote. It is for this reason that we are committed to championing and promoting programs and strategies to give children a fighting chance of survival at childbirth and beyond. We are doing this while giving their mothers the best prospects of surviving and thriving before, during, and after childbirth. We therefore welcome the fact that the trend of maternal mortality is decreasing in our province. This is due to the reduction in maternal deaths from COVID-19, which was a major contributor to mothers dying during the 2020-2021 financial year. As can be seen in the table below, over the past 3 financial years, the number of maternal deaths rose from 176 during the financial year 1920 to 279 2021, but has since declined to 228 in 21-22. We are quite excited about that. There are also several contributors to the maternal mortality rate. Some of them include late antenatal bookings and not presenting on time. Our plan to reduce our maternal mortality rate entails the following: resuming antenatal clinic community dialogues to raise awareness in the communities, working with traditional health practitioners in addressing the correct usage of herbal medicine, collaborating with other stakeholders to make sure that the people who are supposed to utilize the service, they actually do so. On reduction of rate of child mortality, as can be seen in the table below, the rate of child mortality in the province has been rising steadily since 2019 and 2020. It has gone up from 10.9 per 1,000 in 2019-2020 to 12.5 per 1,000 in 2020-21 and to 13.1 per 1,000 during the year 2021 to 2022. Chair, I must say we are very worried about this. Factors that contribute to the child mortality rate include social barriers to access antenatal care by young people. Some abasaba umubabuza ukuthi abayingane emakliniki bathi basaba ukujajwa. Abanye bathi uma ngabe beye emakliniki bayasaba, uma besho ukuthi bakhulelwe early bayasaba ukuthi emakhaya bazoshawa, abanye basaba ukuthi bazoxoshwa emakhaya, okwenza ukuthi bangapresent to our facilities on time, therefore uku-affecta iy'ngane. Our turnaround strategy in this regard entails promoting dialogue about sexuality and sexual reproductive health, implementing a child survival strategy, promoting, protecting, and supporting breastfeeding, collaboration with other government departments again to address social determinants of malnutrition and such issues. The reason we keep on emphasizing other departments' shades because these issues are actually societal issues more than they are just health issues. On HIV and AIDS, in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, at least 27.2% of our population is living with HIV. With King Etwayo at 31.3%, Zululand at 29.7%, Umkungundlovu at 29.4%, and Utugela at 29%. Districts having the highest prevalence is Eswabalile. So far, only 4 of our districts have achieved the 1990 targets for HIV management, which means 1990 means that 90% of HIV-infected individuals have been diagnosed. Then the 90% OSBili of them are on antiretroviral treatment, and the third 90 says they must have achieved viral suppression. And the 4 districts that have achieved 1990 ilawa awu 4 eSwabalile sithe iHerigwala, uMzinyathi, uMkhanyakude noGu district. Chairperson, it must be said that before the emergence of COVID-19, we were doing exceptionally well as the province in our efforts to meet the 1990 target. In fact, we were the first in the whole country that actually achieved. In fact, 3 of our first departments achieved 1990 in the whole country. That is why now that we have integrated COVID-19 into our normal disease profile, we are working extremely hard to rediscover our form and importance and improve performance. To achieve the 1990 targets, the province will increase the number of clients on ART by almost 100,000. One of our biggest challenges, which we will continue working hard to overcome as a matter of urgency, is improving adherence to treatment as well as loss to follow-up treatment, which is still very high at 29.5%. We've also introduced what we call a welcome back campaign in our different facilities through which patients will be relinked and returned back to care. During the last financial year, 68,000 patients who were missing appointments were tracked and brought back to care. Between October and December 2021, 20,806 more patients were traced back to care, which is slightly higher than the 19,643 that was reported in the last quarter. Chairperson, due to COVID-19 and the resultant national lockdown, our medical male circumcision program virtually came to a halt. As a result of this, only 29,830 patients could be circumcised during the 2020-2021 financial year. However, we would like to commend all our ground forces for managing to medically circumcise at least 79,000 men and boys over the past financial year. We are confident that our target of circumcising 149,000 boys and men will be met during this financial year. Once again, we encourage all men to get medically circumcised, and it is safe and prevents HIV infection by up to 60%. Let me speak to PrEP, or access to PrEP. Chairperson, for far too long, people who are at risk of contracting HIV have been left exposed to the virus without much in the way of protection except for the usage of condoms and post-exposure prophylaxis after sexual emergencies. Moreover, the nature of gender power relations in society often means that women don't always have the power to insist on safe sexual practices at all times in their relationships. But now help is at hand in the form of a new safe HIV prevention method for HIV negative people, which is known as pre-exposure prophylaxis, commonly known as PrEP. As I have indicated previously, this is a combination of anti-HIV medication PrEP that keeps HIV negative people from getting the virus. It is important to note that PrEP only protects against HIV infection. Ayikuvimbeli ukukhulelwa, ayiwavimbeli futhi amanye ama-sexually transmitted infections. Siyacela abantu bakithi bangayisebenzisi ngaleyo ndlela ngoba izongabi effective. PrEP is available and accessible from all primary healthcare facilities and hospitals. Is now available. It was not like that. PrEP is now available in all our primary healthcare facilities and hospitals in the province. As at the end of January 2022, 85,000 clients were enrolled on PrEP, and our target for the 2022-23 financial year is 331,000. We are confident that this target will not only be met but exceeded, and we encourage all people who believe they might be at risk of HIV infection to visit their nearest healthcare facility and make inquiries about PrEP as it is available. On new messaging for HIV and AIDS, as we pronounced in the previous budget speech, we are repackaging our messaging for HIV and AIDS so that it becomes relevant and it resonates with the young people of today. We thought it is necessary to do so, Slalo, because the messaging that we have and we continuously use looks like it is missing the mark. Kubukeka sengathi uma sikhuluma nabantu abasha Slalo sisebenzisa isotsi Italia dala leya ikhulunywa uwena neyontanga bethu kodwa abantu abasha bathi abasizwa ukuthi sithini sebecela ukuthi silungise ke sikhulume ngendlela bona abayizwayo so that bezos understand. Chairperson, we will not rest until on prevention of mother to child transmission of HIV. Chairperson, we will not rest until we completely eliminate the incidence of transmission of HIV from mother to child. It's a commitment that we are making. Crucially, we are ready to start dispensing an intervention called PrEP again to pregnant women in order to protect unborn babies from HIV infection. It is important to note that PrEP only protects, okay, I've said this before, ibalulekile kodwa ukuthi si-emphasize ukuze sazi ukuthi yenzeka kanjani. Chair, our community health workers play a very important role in conducting household pregnancy tests for women and children and childbearing of childbearing age and linking to care those who test positive. Siyabathanda ama health care workers ethu asebenza kanzima siyazi sihlalo ukuthi they are calling to be made permanent. Sishilo sathi udaba lolu oluxoxwa kuzwelonke and once uzwelonke usisinikile guidance sizokwazi ukuthi sil implement. Kodwa siyabathanda siyazi ukuthi bayasebenza futhi we appreciate them. Ngoba siyazi ukuthi ngaphandle kwabo ngabe primary health care asikwazi ukuthi si-implemente ngoba basebenza ngempela and they are very committed. Chair, I want to speak to the rate of syphilis in the province currently. We are very concerned at the growing number of women who are presenting with syphilis to our facilities. This is a very dangerous sexually transmitted infection that can cause premature delivery, severely damage the heart, brain, or other organs and can be life-threatening. Angisho nje sihlala ukuthi ngifunda usyphilis ngiqinisa amazwi ngoba laphana kwi-gallery kukhona uSimelane nomavulakazi abangizalayo kodwa ke sebeyoxola umsebenzi usho njalo. Over the past financial year, we've reached an increase in the number of neonates dying due to congenital syphilis, and it is worrying. A total of 4,147 women tested positive for syphilis in 2021-2022, while 92% were successfully treated. In response to all of this, we've started implementing the dual HIV and syphilis testing at the beginning of 21-22 financial year. During the current financial year and beyond, we will be intensifying our community awareness program in relation to this. We think, Slado, it's important that we mention this because syphilis is something that actually had been dealt with long time ago by the health system. So, umisikala isivela, we are worried because kuyabonakala ukuthi kushukuthi kukhona lapho okunenkinga khona between Department of Health ne community and the understanding your community on the particular disease. So, we will be elevating community awareness on that score. On TB, Chair, the theme of World TB Day 2022, which we commemorated 2 months ago, was invest to end TB and save lives. It conveyed the urgent need to invest resources in order to ramp up the fight against TB so that we can achieve the commitments to end TB that have been made by global leaders. Chair, the prevalence of TB in South Africa in 2018 was 737 per 100,000 population, which is extremely high. In our province, TB remains a major concern as it kills an average of 7 to 8% of its patients each year. between April and December 2021, 2,156 people died of TB disease, while 22,000 or 81.5% who were initiated on TB were successfully treated. The situation gets bleak when you consider the fact that during 2019-2021 and 2020-2020, during 2019 and 2020, and 2020 and 2021, at least 4,206 people died due to TB. This puts the figure at just over 6,000 in 3 years. That is more than 6,000 deaths from a preventable and treatable disease. This is too high and it is not welcomed. Chair, let me speak to women's health. Hello, Francois. How are you? Chairperson, shocking statistics reveal that 1 in 40 South African women acquire cervical cancer each year, and that up to 3,500 of them end up dying each and every year. Cervical cancer, which is the second most common after breast cancer, is caused by the human papillomavirus. The most tragic part is that these cancers are relatively easy to detect and treat if they are found early. So they should not be killing the women of this province in the manner that they are. When we assumed office in 2019, just before the onset of COVID-19, we had made a commitment to screen at least 85% of all eligible women for breast and cervical cancer. Needless to say, we were unable to achieve this goal as we had to focus most of our attention and resources on saving lives from the COVID-19 pandemic. Nevertheless, we have strived to ensure that all health facilities during this time in KwaZulu-Natal are able to perform pap smear in order to detect cancerous cells on women. However, during the 2021-22 financial year, when some level of normalcy returned after COVID, we screened 213,000 women for cervical cancer, and of those, 12,644 were found to be precancerous and were initiated on treatment. We think that is a good thing that actually happened. In this new financial year, we will be procuring a further 9 LEDs machines which are effective, and this we are adding on the 41 machines that we already bought in the last financial year and have distributed in the rural areas or rural hospitals. During this current financial year and beyond, we will also be reverting to our mass cervical cancer screening program, which is in line with recent international initiatives to eliminate cervical cancer through the World Health Organization 90-70-90 strategy. The strategy entails: 1, getting 90% of girls fully vaccinated with the HPV vaccine by the age of 15. Secondly, getting 70% of women to undergo a pap smear at least twice by the age of 45, even though in South Africa we say by the age of 50. 3, ensuring that 90% of women identified with a precancerous disease get treated, and those with invasive cancer get managed accordingly. We will continue to exploit each and every available platform to create awareness about breast and cervical cancer, as well as all other forms of cancers that continue to ravage and kill the women of South Africa and the province of KwaZulu-Natal in particular. Let me then move, Chair, to elevating men's health towards a men's-friendly healthcare facility, or towards men's-friendly healthcare facilities. Chair, one of the key areas that we made a commitment to focus on was when we commenced office was the health of men. We took a decision that it was high time men stopped dying due to diseases such as prostate cancer, male breast cancer, HIV and AIDS, diabetes, hypertension, and many others which are treatable or manageable when they are early detected. One of our key programs in this regard, Isibaya Samadoda, together with the Kzn Budget Vote, has made a great eye-opener. Has been a great has been a great eye-opener when it comes to understanding attitudes that many men subscribe to when it comes to matters of health. We are challenging the view that it is considered normal or acceptable that men vele bashona before abantu besifazane. It should not be like that. It should not be like that. Sizimisela ngokuyishintsha yonke leyo nto ngoba asikho isidingo sokuthi abantu besilisa abadlule emhlabeni isikhathi singakafiki. It's only because abalitholi ithuba lokuthi bazinakekele. We are saying men are part and parcel of our journey to extend general life expectancy in this province. The primary aim of this engagement is to make men more conscious of their own health while imparting on them essential life skills and presenting alternative dispute resolution methods among the other interventions. In our engagements, we have established that some of the men are too shy. Bayasaba sihlalo ukuya ey'bhedlela bathi laphana bafike bathole iy'ngane ey'ncane bangakwazi ukukhuluma ikakhulukazi uma ngabe bezokhuluma ngokugula okuphathelene ne-sexual reproductive. Agcina umuntu ethe bephethwe ukunye uma ebona ukuthi khona umuntu wesifazane noma ingane encane bese ethi hayi ingane yami bengiphethwe ikhanda nje ngicela amaphilisi ekhanda ebese yaphuma angakuthola ukusizakala. Sithi ke akushintshe lokho akube nendlela yokuthi kwenzeke. That is why we have decided to begin a program that will ultimately make at least 80 of our facilities men-friendly. In other words, they will cater to a number of specific healthcare needs that pertain to men, including medical male circumcision, prostate cancer, sexual and reproductive health of men, erectile dysfunction, including the management of early ejaculation. From this financial year onwards, we are going to ensure that every local municipality has at least one facility, whether a CAC or 24-hour clinic, that is dedicated to the health of men. These facilities will have a male nurse during the day and after hours, particularly for those men who work late and are unable to access our facilities during the day, Chairperson. On prostate cancer, statistics reveals that 1 in every 23 South African men will develop prostate cancer in their lifetime. And that on average, 5 South African men will die from prostate cancer. Akufanele sihlalo. This is a cancer engafanele babulala abantu besilisa ngoba uma idetectekile early iyalapheka. Ama signs prostate cancer ngesizulu ke ngoba nginalgama lesizulu sihlalo ngeke ngithi i-cancer yomshini womuntu wesilisa. Ama signs awo amanye i-pain in the bones, dribbling, uma ngabe uvuka uchama njalo, uma umuntu wesilisa uhamba uyochama ubona igazi emchameni kufuna uqale uzibuke lokho. Siyacela ke ukuthi abantu besilisa basukume unyaka nonyaka indlela yokuthi ithole noma siyilaphe ukuthi every year abantu besilisa sebeneminyaka ewu40 and above bahambe bayotesta. And siyazi ke ukuthi inkinga ziningi. Siyazi ukuthi abantu besilisa bayakusaba ukutestela i-prostate cancer sihlalo ngoba bake basho ukuthi i-uncomfortable i-test yakhona. I must say that we have now decided to implement a new test that does not require, or a test that is not invasive. A test that only draws your blood and we are able to pick up just from the blood. Ukuthi umuntu nayo yini prostate cancer noma yikho. Abantu besilisa abasenayo i-reason yokuthi bangaye esibhedlela bangatesti futhi batestele cancer. On attending the health needs of LGBTQI+ community, Chair, Section 27 of our Constitution states that everyone has a right to access to healthcare services. While we are acutely aware of the fact that members of the LGBTQI+ community have unique health needs, we also know that they are a vulnerable group. They are often subjected to various forms of discrimination, stigma, and prejudice when they try to access our health facilities. Therefore, we have an urgent task to make our healthcare facilities welcoming and gender-affirming. That is why, out of our own volition, we are initiating a program to ensure that health is accessible to this group in particular. Sadly, due to the disruption caused by COVID-19, we were unable to implement this earlier. However, we are replanning, we are starting the program now. That said, we have been providing support to a number of independent LGBTQI+ friendly clinics with medical supplies that are specifically aimed at this community. But over and above that, we have now begun a process of formulating our own LGBTQI friendly clinics, and sizoqala eMgungundlovu naseThekwini si-implemente sibone sihlalo ukuthi kusebenzeka kanjani bese ke i-intention ukuthi ama facilities ethu onke must be friendly. Akufanele ukuthi sicwase, and we are really working towards ensuring ukuthi kuyaphela lokho. Kukona lokhu ke sihlalo, we have also taken a decision ukuthi the very same way we are providing male condoms as a Department of Health, the very same way we are providing female condoms, we are now going to be providing for free ama lubricants, ama dental dams, nama finger cords, because this particular sector needs these apparatus so that they keep themselves safe. Ama abahlonishwa nginifakele ezikhwameni zenu nizokubona konke lokho ngingibalayo. All of them are in your bags. on strengthening health systems, efforts to improve minimum staff establishment. Even though there are austerity measures in place, the truth is that the healthcare system continues to suffer from the consequences of the moratorium on posts that have been posts that were imposed in the past few years. Although we were able to employ 7,000 staff on contract as part of our response to COVID-19, this is but just a drop in the ocean. It is simply not enough. As a result, we will continue with our efforts to achieve a minimum staff establishment at all our healthcare facilities. We are of the view that having at least 60% of the staff complement at our facilities could begin to address challenges caused by understaffing, such as low staff morale, low quality of care, and burnout amongst our health workers. We intend to absorb the 7,000 COVID-19 staff members that we have on a full-time basis. We are very much aware that, Chair, we do not have the funds for this, therefore we will have to reprioritize from within our own budget. We know that, we are working on that, and as part of that strategy, we have decided that in absorbing the 7,000, we must absorb them in phases because we will not be able to afford them all at once. Chairperson, now that we've grown accustomed to COVID-19 as a part of our lives, we've been able to put our focus back on the important task of re-engineering primary healthcare. Ibaluleke kakhulu primary healthcare, Chair. The system is based on, among other things, disease prevention and promotion of a healthy lifestyle. It also advocates for the establishment of a system whereby healthcare workers work closely with communities, mapping areas, understanding the culture, beliefs, and habits of the community, socioeconomic status, and understand the people that they work with. As part of further promoting primary healthcare, we'll continue with our various programs that are key, are people-centered, like Isibhedlela Kubantu, Qoqoqo Sikhulekile Ekhaya, which is our door-to-door program, Khosombe Lamajita, Isibaya Samadoda, etc. A primary healthcare approach is cost-effective in the sense that whatever health challenges you address at a lower level of care means you won't clog up the system higher up, which means we will save money at some point. During this financial year and beyond, we will also be strengthening the role of our community health workers, onompilo njengoba bengengasho, as well as ward-based outreach teams, as they are the cornerstone of our primary health care. The same goes for family health and school health teams. On road to NHI, Chair, as part of strengthening
Mhlonishwa isikhathi sakho sesiphelile kodwa ke ngoba verse the investment ka 20 minutes will deduct from that one. Can you continue, Honorable Member?
Ngiyabonga kakhulu, Sihlalo. Thank you very much. Chairperson, as part of strengthening our response to the deadly COVID-19 pandemic, we needed to urgently repurpose certain identified hospitals so that patients could be treated in a properly designated, yaqala ku-5 manje, Sihlalo. Oh, okay, designated setting. This helped ensure standardization of care, optimization of resources, as well as the protection of non-COVID-19 patients. As we stated in 2020 during the adjusted budget speech, that the repurposing of these facilities will result in future improvements to the standard and quality of care at our facilities. Sesifikile leso sikhathi. Sihlalo sikhuluma nje izibhedlela zethu zonke lezi esasiyilungisile zizonke. Nimeya Hospital, Clearwood Hospital, Richmond Hospital. We are now reallocating them, and we are now recategorizing them as district hospitals. Abahlonishwa bazokhumbula ukuthi i-Richmond Hospital was a TB hospital eyayingasasebenzi, dilapidated, kodwa manje in a highest level of care, and it has the best equipment, and we have decided zonke le ibhedlela sizashintsha Sihlalo sizenze ama-district hospitals so that abantu bakithi bakwazi ukuthi basebenze. Into enhleke nge-Richmond in particular, izokwazi ukuthi service abantu base-Richmond ngoba isibhedlela asikaze sibe khona, iphinde service even i-Irregular district eseduze kwayo. Sihlalo, i-St. Francis Hospital is not akukusha okwenzekayo. A decision was taken ngo-2013 to combine Inkonjeni St. Francis into one complex. That distance Sihlalo phakathi kwey'bhedlela zimbili iwu-7 kilometers kuphela. Only 7 kilometers, despite ukuthi opposition ithini. It does not make financial sense to have 2 CEOs, 2 management teams, 2 CEOs, CFOs, everyone within 7 kilometers of each other. Asikwazi ukuyi-afforda leyo nto, asinamali. Yingakho-ke it is becoming a complex. Ayivalwa sihlalo. Ayivalwa. Ngiyafisa uku-emphasize ayivalwa i-St. Francis. We are rationing ama-services ukuze kube yi-complex eyodwa. Abafuna ke ukuba no CEO wabo kusho ukuthi bazoyiqashela bona emakhaya kodwa thina sizoba no CEO owodwa in these two particular facilities. On Dr. Pixlika Isakaseme Memorial Hospital, as previously indicated, we have begun the process of commissioning the Dr. Pixlika Isakaseme Memorial Hospital in phased-in approach. The hospital is now operational, and we are extremely happy, Slalo, Uguti, Isiyasebenza, almost all the units are functional. As of the 4th of May, our first theater patient was admitted and an operation was conducted and it was very successful. Siyabonga kakhulu and we appreciate it. I must emphasize that we are still not taking ama walk-ins as yet because we are taking ama patients from the different facilities. Kodwa by the end of June, isibhedlela siyobe sivulwa undunankulu uzobe sesivulile. On access to mental health services, despite the scarcity of resources, we will continue to do our utmost best to improve here, Slal. Ngiyasibona isikhathi sami singishaya kakhulu Slalo. Ngicela okunye ama honorable members azofunda. Chairperson, in the way in which healthcare facilities are designed, built and maintained and managed goes a long way in making the environment safer and more conducive to healing for patients while creating better working conditions. As the Department of KwaZulu-Natal, the Department of Health in KwaZulu-Natal, we are extremely pleased to announce that we obtained an overall score of 92% and received an incentive grant from the national government to the value of 65 million for complying with the performance-based incentive system requirements. This incentive grant recognizes departments that demonstrate an acceptable degree of infrastructure management. Kuyasho ke Slalo ukuthi kusho ukuthi sikwenza ngendlela okuyiyona yona. Ezinye zezinto esizozithenga kulonyaka Slalo noma kuyi-infrastructure esidesigned ukuthi sizokwenza sizothenga ama generators siwafake kuma clinics and we've put aside 185 million for that. Sizofaka ama perimeter fences for some of our facilities because ayadinga Slalo, so that is what we are going to do. We have decided also that we are going to renovate some of the facilities esinawo, and those facilities are Amaya Setegwini and the rest are in the rest of the province. Upgrading of district hospitals to regional level hospitals. Chair, last year we made a commitment to work towards upgrading of 4 of our hospitals, of our district hospitals to regional hospitals. Usebenzi sesuqalile ke Slalo uyenziwa akusumsebenzi osebenza owenzeka overnight loyo because iba i-process uqala uassesse ukuthi mapi ama skills owadingayo iyiphi i-treatment or i-level of care that you can bring and how do you implement it. We've already started with the pre-feasibility phase and we are implementing. Ibhedlela ke sikhuluma ngazo la i-Vryheid, i-Bethesda, i-Dundee ne-Christ the King, which are going to be changed from district hospitals to regional hospitals so that abanye abantu abasezululand abadinga ukuthi baye eNewcastle esibhedlela noma emadadeni ukuze bathole level of care, they can just get that level of care Vryheid abadinga ukuya endaweni baphume endaweni zangakubo. Chair, let me speak to the provincialization of the Tegwini municipality-run clinics. Itegu Slalo li indicatile after leadership entsha ikhethiwe ukuthi cha bayabona ukuthi ama clinics akusumsebenzi wawo bayecela Department of Health iwathathe over. Now ukwathatha over ke ama clinics abo ba 53 is going to be extremely costly, especially uma ngabe besingayibudgetelanga Slalo. So we will be discussing with them on a plan on how we take over. However, we will be taking over ikatomena CHC ngoba at least yona siyisebenza ndawonye already, so it will not cost us imali eningi kakhulu. On emergency medical services, Chair, we will be buying new vehicles kodwa siyafisa nje ukusho ukuthi kusiphatha kabi ukuthi abantu bakithi abasebenza lapha baba affected ngalendlela and baya threatenisheka uma besebenza. Uyabona nje khona udadewethu uPhumzile Dlamini who was a medical paramedic for 10 years and a mother of 3 who lost her life ngoba bedutshulwa behamba beyosiza umuntu together with her crewmate babe laphana emabhanoyini escort kuyinto embi lokho siyafisa kakhulu ukuthi sibambisane nomphakathi ukuze sikwazi ukuthi sigweme lokho. The last one is improving fiscal management, audit and outcomes. Despite challenges, we hereby reiterate our commitment to good, clean governance. And we are continuing to implement a number of audit improvement plans. We have developed a detailed improvement plan as well as standard operation procedures that seek to address the identified weaknesses in internal controls. This includes engagements with managers to ensure that financial information and reporting is accurate. Chairperson, the bulk of irregular expenditure emanates from the continued usage of expired contracts for services such as security cleaning and catering. The department did embark on an extensive process to put in new contracts in place. It must be, however, be noted that the moment these were awarded, they were taken on appeal with the Provincial Treasury Bid Appeals Tribunal, and they were overturned and were instructed to start them afresh. The department has therefore had to restart this process. We are working on that, and we have decided in the interim to give 6 months contract for these contracts so that they are regulated while we implement the process, Chairperson. Furthermore, there has been a vast improvement in the SCM document management system, and we believe that the implementation will gain further from the Loki system that which will be implemented at 6 pilot sites during the 2022-23 financial year. Chairperson, ngiyafisa kakhulu ukubonga in conclusion. Bonke abasebenzayo emnyangweni wezempilo, siyababonga odokotela, onurse, allied workers, support staff, and all the frontline workers for their contribution in the value chain of health in our province. Siyababonga kakhulu sithi bangakhathali. I'm also immensely grateful to the departmental executive led by Dr. Shabalala and the team. Siyabonga kakhulu ukubambisana bozakwethu sithemba ukuthi sizoqhubeka sibambisane ngaleyo ndlela. I wish to thank all staff in the ministry and all support staff that have assisted us for this budget speech in particular. I also thank the province, or the people of this province in advance, for heeding our call to form a social partnership between themselves and us. Thank you in advance for taking better care of yourselves, for preventing diseases, for presenting to healthcare facilities early before complications set in. Finally, I wish to thank my family for all the love and support that they've given me over the years. They literally became surrogate parents to my daughters. Ngiyabonga kakhulu, Bomakucho. I could travel the world, the whole world, and never find a more loving and supporting family. My mother, Umavlagazi, my dad, Makucho Mpembe Galogotwayo, my siblings, Usthembile, Uscelo Nonokwazi, and my children, Lwazi Lwandile, Uletukwazi, Nozihlelele Okuhle, ngiyabonga kakhulu. And last but not least, Madlogo Vuntusiyenkomo. Ngiyabonga kakhulu, Chairperson. I thus present to you the 2022-2023 budget. Aye. Program 7, Chair, of 2022-2023 allocation is as follows. Administration, 1.6 billion. Program 2, 26.5 billion. Program 3, 1.6 billion. Program 4, 11.4 billion. Program 5, 5.3 billion. Program 6, 11.3 billion. Program 7, 362 million. Health facilities management, 1.8 billion. In total, the budget yakwa health slalo, 49.6 billion. Siyabonga kakhulu, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable MEC for Health. Colleagues. Honorable members, may we come back to the meeting. Before we call the next person to deliver the report. No. Really, this corner is creating serious problems. I want to plead with you. Really. Even the speaker, the MEC could not be heard clearly. There might be recordings so that the public hear what we are doing here. We are pleading for order, please. Honorable members, there is something that I didn't notice when I was inviting the MEC to the podium. I don't remember recognizing her colleague, Honorable Nomsa Dube, who is coming to support her in the delivery of this budget speech. Honorable MEC for Finance, thank you very much for rendering the support to your colleague. I don't also remember thinking about the guest of the MEC until she started speaking. Would wanted to welcome all the guests of the MEC for Health in KwaZulu-Natal, more specifically Inkosi usihlalo wamakhosi KwaZulu-Natal, Inkosi uCeliza, kanye nabazali shame baka mamu MEC Magutshwa kanye nomamu Mavilakazi kanye nabo bonke ama siblings akhe. Welcome to this presentation of the budget by your family member. Siyabonga kakhulu. Colleagues would want to continue with our speakers list. The next speaker will be the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Health, Honorable N.R. Majola, who is allocated 10 minutes to present the committee report. The Honorable Chair, I am reliably informed that she is connected virtually. Yes, Honorable Chairperson of the Health Portfolio Committee in KZN. Your time is up, Hlalo. Your time is up, Mem Hlalo. Your time is up, Honorable Member. I would request on my left that we don't speak in loud voices. We were drowning the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. That was coming from this side. I don't want to mention someone by name. We are pleading that this side behaves and don't drown the speaker. So we are continuing with our own debate. We are now inviting the honorable member who is allocated 12 minutes. And this honorable member comes from the African National Congress. And this is Honorable LXH Hlongwa Madlala. This is your time, honorable member.
Siyabonga kakhulu sihlalo umhlangano umphazima welanga ngiyathobeka kakhulu ku-MEC wethu kaMagutshwa sihlalo ekomiti lethu uJoel Nkomo umzwakele uphakathi kwethu undunankulu nethimba lonke lo MEC isebenzi zomnyango wezempilo esiholo uDokotela uShabalala ngiyambona futhi no CFO wethu obambile uMr Shezi izakhamuzi zonke zaKwaZulu Natal ezihlomula ohlelweni lwezempilo ngibingelela namalunga ahloniphekile alendlu sanibonani. Siyabonga MEC for your speech. It's very moving. Siyabonga ukuthi usichazele ngesimo sezempilo esifundazweni. The World Health Organization, it defines states
Honorable members, my speaker on the floor, as you could see, was not feeling well. While she has just started, we are going to be advised because the rules of the legislature, as were announced in the morning, they will kick in. There are two possibilities. Is that if the honorable member is able to continue, we are going to consider her state and allow her to debate while seated. If she would not be able to do so, we are going to allow another member to take over as per the rules of the legislature. So I was reliably informed that she was ready. She said if she feels better, she will continue chair of committees with the debate. But if she will be unable to do so, then it means that you are going to take over. So that's why it was important in the morning to explain the rules of such meetings. So those who listened attentively in the morning, they could pick up that these rules are providing for such situations. So we are moving on with our debate. We are now called upon the honorable member who is allocated 7 minutes, and the honorable member is coming from Inkatha Freedom Party, and this is Honorable T.J. Gumede. Honorable Member Gumede, I will allow you, because really you are not ready. So don't stress, you are not ready. Hayi Mnguni, lokho mama uMnguni yokubekezelela nje Ntombi. Because of that you are not ready.
Thank you.
So you will use this opportunity, madam, to start your debate.
Greetings to you, Honorable Chair, MEC, honorable members and guests. I'll start by saying, one of my lecturers told us in a class that we must be careful of clapping hands for every speaker without analyzing and weighing the facts of the matter. Let me start by pointing out that in my short time in this parliament, I've noticed that we convene every year in this house to debate, if that is the right word, the budget allocated in that financial year. We strive to follow a rand and a cent, which is very elusive to an ordinary member who's not an accountant. But we all overlook the impact of these budgets on the quality. Last year in August 13, in a portfolio committee, the MEC told the committee that Priestley Gaseme Hospital will fully be functional and accepting walk-ins, complained about the narrative that was taking rounds about the vaccine killing people, promised that the PEC will be finished with a report from SAPRA once released, including the financial reports impacted by the looting, but none of the above has happened to date. The CEO in the first quarter of 2021 projected an over-expenditure for 2021-22 financial year. Amongst other things mentioned were training and development of staff. But on the committee's meticulous oversight, led by Honorable N. Majola, we still find the absence of specialized nursing staff in the fields of theater tech, psychiatry, and advanced midwifery, and the general shortage of the staff in hospitals. At Inkosi Albert, they even told us that badlalum laba from one theater to another. And then you ask yourself, where does it leave the physical and the mental alertness of that individual? We cannot differentiate between incompetency and exhaustion. Here we talk about a young lady, Konjwayo, whose life has been destroyed by a doctor who failed to perform a straightforward cesarean section, and the lady left with a highly infected wound and a perforated bowel for that matter. The medical legal cost of this department is standing at a shocking 26 billion. Litigation costs are getting higher and higher in this department due to this monster called austerity measures or elusive moratorium. Centers of excellence do not change the suffering, but give support to the already existing problem. If anyone does not understand that prevention is better than cure, then she is misplaced. IFP is tempted to seek legal advice and involve other stakeholders in these matters. We are tempted to think that there's even more than it meets the eye, because it boggles the mind to think that somebody who was fully employed with a salary, with a budgeted salary, suddenly is not replaced because there is no money. Because perhaps, just perhaps, it will help the MEC to understand that health is a scientific, pragmatic terrain that, far from legal spinning approach, we want practicality, not aspirations. Where are training colleges that are going to feed these state-of-the-art hospitals? Inkosi Albert is testimony to that. This province is yet to have in its own incinerator. How much does the department pay for the service? The main IFP's concern is quality to clients, support and well-being to the staff. The visit to Madden Hospital speaks volumes on the neglect of mental health, safety of the nursing staff. After all is said and done, patients must get high-quality care. The IFP is listening with interest to all the MEC has just tabled, but will be on the podium next year talking extensively about the budget, but remaining with the same problems. IFP commends the nurses because of their personal commitment to the profession. We urge the department to honestly engage the department to attend to the gravel roads leading to the rural clinics. IFP supports the budget with the hope that one day, all of us and our families in this house will one day sleep in a public hospital without fear. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I'm allowing the sanitization of the stage. Honorable members, we are all this competition on these two sides. They are giving me a problem. Honorable members, can there be order in this house?
It's this side, Chair.
Order, please, in this house. Honorable members, we are now having the honorable member who is debating for 8 minutes. And this honorable member comes from the Democratic Alliance. And his name is Honorable R. Virana. Yes, honorable member, 8 minutes.
Thank you, Chairperson. Today, as we debate this budget for the Department of Health, we must understand how vitally important it is for the development of all KwaZulu-Natal residents. When a person is sick, they cannot seek employment, they cannot take care of their families, and they cannot build the life that they want for themselves and their families. When the Department of Health does not provide proper care and recovery for the sick, it completely denies people their Section 27 rights and their access to opportunities. However, sadly, in KwaZulu-Natal, we find a department that is in crisis, underfunded, understaffed, and undercapacitated. Despite all these challenges within health facilities and with their working conditions, I must commend the thousands of healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, the allied healthcare workers, and even the most underappreciated general orderlies and admin clerks. They worked through the hardships of the COVID-19 pandemic. We hail them as the heroes they are. Many of them contracted coronavirus through their work. Many lost colleagues to this dreadful virus. And they continue to work despite the fear of taking the virus home to their families. KwaZulu-Natal had a dreadful 2021-22 with the July riots and this year's flooding that caused devastation across the province. However, our healthcare workers continue to work in their facilities despite the additional understaffing and the damage that was caused. While we applaud and commend them, as the MEC will do at the awards, we as members in this House need to do more to improve their working conditions. If we do not, we will continue to see the exodus of staff from the public sector. As Minister Pashla said yesterday, there are only 0.31 per 1,000 doctors in South Africa, while our counterparts in the developing world, in Brazil, for example, it is 2.32. NHI is a pipe dream if we do not have the staff to run our hospitals and clinics. Despite having the province's second largest budget, the Department of Health continues to be underfunded, putting immense pressure on the filling of posts, procurement of medication, and infrastructure maintenance. The department sees cuts of 2% and 2.9% in the next 2 financial years, and hopefully the budget will rise again to 21-22 levels in the last year of the MTF. And while we can all decry the cuts to the health budget, the department itself is not without blame. The department in the last financial year underspent by 1.9 billion rand. The explanation is the overestimation of COVID-19 expenditure. The problem, however, arises, why was this overestimation calculations only identified so late that the funds had to be returned to Treasury? While there was an application for a rollover, they only received 97 million in the district health program grant. And that means 1.8 billion, which could have been via environments, allocated to infrastructure maintenance, equipment procurement, and medication, was sent back. As MPLs, we still receive calls from members patients who go to clinics or to CCMD sites and leave without their chronic medication due to stockouts. These budget cuts and misspending of funds are not just numbers. It's not just a fashion show or Instagram video. It affects the services on the ground and at facilities in KwaZulu-Natal. It affects whether the sick and the injured will find a doctor or nurse when they go to a facility and how long they have to wait. The department itself admits that its current compensation of employees does not even cover the current warm bodies in the department or the replacement of staff when they leave. According to the numbers, the vacancies of medical practitioners is 502, with over 1,400 vacancies for professional nurses. These are massive numbers, especially when these are the only 2 posts that have been excluded from the moratorium and declared essential. We still have not heard about the hiring of new staff after the old moratorium, which started from January to March, came to an end. Is the department now hiring the essential staff that is needed in our facilities? Now, this is not even going on to the employment of or the vacancies of non-essential workers, or what are declared non-essential workers, the porters, the general orderlies, the enrolled nurses, and the allied healthcare workers. It is the lack of these staff members that has resulted in delays in cleaning of theaters and wards and the state of our facilities, the feeding of patients and the distribution of medication, as well as the transporting of patients between the different departments of facilities, such as X-rays and casualties. MEC, at the last portfolio meeting, you gave us an assurance that progress was being made on the minimum staff establishment with the Premier. But what is this progress? We need the details, not the short message that as is in your budget speech. It's been 3 years of negotiations. How far are we in seeing a reality to the minimum staff establishment? And MEC, these are not just numbers. These are experiences of patients in hospitals and clinics across KwaZulu-Natal. It is the experience of a 4-year-old with a dog bite who had to wait over 6 hours for treatment at Kzn Zulu Casualty because there were only 2 doctors on duty that weekend. At Mahatma Gandhi Hospital, where a 29-year-old who had a femur fracture because of a hit-and-run accident, sleeping in the MOPD ward for 4 weeks before he received his operation. At King Edward Hospital, a 60-year-old man with avascular necrosis of the head of the femur was informed that he had to wait in agony until 2024 before he could have his hip replacement surgery due to long elective surgery lists. All the while, the new 163-bedded psychiatric extension at Kzn Zulu stands empty as there are no funded staff to open the facility. Albert Luthuli stands with only 40% of its beds, ICU beds in use, and 17 of its 29 theaters in use, causing referral backlogs due to these staff shortages.
Time is up, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Chair.
So we're inviting the next Honorable Member, who is allocated 9 minutes to debate. And this Honorable Member comes from the Economic Freedom Fighters. This is Honorable L.G. Sitcha. Sonisho Sitcha.
No, thank you very much, Ngibonge, Honorable Chair. Greetings to the House, the Department, and our guests. Honorable Chair, allow us first to send our heartfelt condolences to families here in eThekwini Metro, in Ilembe District, in Oku District, King Ejwayo, Gungundlovu, and all affected areas who lost their loved ones because of the devastating floods that have affected our province. And also condolences to Gadi family on what has just happened to Hilary Gadi, the daughter of Godrich Gadi, who's the former Secretary of Economic Freedom Fighters. For many years now, we have watched as the National Treasury made budget cuts without any decisive political intervention to stop this. For KwaZulu-Natal and health in particular, budget cuts in the past meant that we could not appoint new nurses, doctors, administrators at hospitals and clinics, and we could not appoint much needed community health workers. It is for this reason why KwaZulu-Natal as a province has the highest nursing position vacancies in the country. Our hospitals and clinics do not have more than enough nurses necessary to cover wonke umsebenzi ekufanele ngabe uhanjiselwa abantu bakithi kwi-province yaKwaZulu-Natal. This administration successfully collapsed the oncology health services in Eddington Hospital, and hundreds of patients are left stranded. They used COVID-19 pandemic crisis to sweep the collapse of healthcare. But we know it is all rhetoric and got hair. The situation is worse in clinics. According to community-led monitoring group, Ritija, who surveyed more than 153 clinics, there is general collapse in majority of clinics, and there is almost no primary health care for our people. This is what happened when we cut district health services budget, emergency medical services and provincial health services. Our people must wait for hours to be serviced, and there is just general decay infrastructure everywhere. Honorable Chairperson, as the EFF, we have put practical and implementable proposals on the table. Number one, let's put politics aside and find each other and fight these budget cuts that are continuing even in the midst of a pandemic. How are we going to rebuild healthcare that had collapsed before COVID-19 and during the floods disaster if they continue to cut budgets? Let's fight budget cuts and build a stronger province. Number two, let's have one vision as the province to prioritize primary health care. We must have a clear database of all residents of KwaZulu-Natal, their health profiles, and then embark on a campaign for massive primary health care. We saw with the pandemic and flood disaster that out communities do not have primary health care. We must agree as a province to say each ward must have one clinic and each clinic must have a visiting doctor and all specialists on a rotational basis. Each ward must have its own ambulance. We must rebuild primary healthcare based on accessibility and equity. All the ambulances must be serviced and maintained at government garage with qualified mechanics. We must increase the number of community healthcare to work in our communities and assist families in recovery. Some of our people have lost their documents and medication due to this flood disaster. The department should take over there and intervene to assist those families that are in need. We must in-source cleaners, kitchen staff and maintenance staff in our hospitals and clinics, and we must appoint them in a fair, transparent, and administratively proper process. Unless if we follow this approach, Honorable Chairperson, we will not rebuild a functional healthcare here in KwaZulu-Natal, and the EFF will reject the proposed budget of budget cuts. Nevertheless, Sihlalo, asibonge isiphakamiso se-department ngokuthatha igxathu lokhomelisa abasebenzi bomkhakha wezempilo ngokusebenza kwabo ngokuzimisela. Izwe libhekene nempi, lilwa nesikhwaga esingabonakali. Ukuzimisela nokuzinikela kwabo bohlala njalo bekhunjulwa njengamaqhawe. Sethembe nakulabo abalahlekelwa izimpilo zabo bezama ukuhlenga izimpilo zabanye, nabo bazokhunjulwa kulolu hlelo oluphakanyiswa i-department. Sibonge Sihlalo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable members, we are carrying on with our speakers list. We are now going to invite the honorable member who is allocated 8 minutes. And this honorable member comes from the African National Congress. This is Honorable Bishop E.V. Dube. Yamaza.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Mntakankosi. Ngiphinde ngibingelele futhi MEC wethu. Sibonga kakhulu inkulumo osuyithulile la ngaphambili esinikeza ithemba thina njengo-African National Congress. Njalo kuhlale kungikhumbuza isikhathi ngamhlazana uthatha le portfolio ukuthi abeqembu elingaphesheya kakhulukazi eliphikisayo babebhala emaphepheni ukuthi sizobona ukuthi uzokayiphathe yini ibhedlela ulithatha bulwazi lokuphatha ibhedlela. Naw mangibheka indlela opresente ngayi budget kuyasinikeza ithemba lokuthi umsebenzi mkhulu uyaqhubeka uyaphambili. Omunye ababhali ke noma omunye wamaholi ubeka amazwi athi be the change that you want to see, uMahatma Gandhi. Kuyangimangaza njalo ukuthi i-opposition, especially abantu abafana no-Honorable Virani, uma befika kule stage bathola isikhathi sokukhuluma izinto okufanele ngabe bazikhuluma ekomidini, ngoba ekomidini lethu sihlangana sikhulume kahle kube mnandi, kodwa masifika kule ndawo sekufanele sikhulume ngebudget baqale ngeendaba zabo ukuthi endaweni ethize kwenzeka into othi ngesikhathi uma uthi uyayilandela uthola ukuthi cha akuyona njengoba injalo. Ngineqiniso lokuthi udokotela ohola lomkha le department ngokohlelo lesibhedlela udokotela uSandile sinayo futhi yonke sonke inamba yakhe. Angikhumbuli ngisho icase eyodwa okwamfonela wangayiphendula ngendlela efanele. Ngiyasho nje ngoba manizana ngaphambili nijike nikhuluma izinto ezibonakala ukuthi nizama nje ukwandisa izwi lokubuya sengathi umnyango wezempilo awenzi lutho. We cannot say Department of Health is perfect. There are challenges. We know those challenges. And what we need to do as the people who are voted by the people, we need to sit down and look for solutions. What is very bad about the way we handle things from the opposition, you come, nizosho izinto negative, bese ningasiniki futhi turnaround strategy. Ngoba ngicabanga ukuthi ni reserve ukuthi niyenze ngamhlazane niphatha. Kodwa iqiniso ukuthi nake naphatha nahluleka. Futhi ke maninikeza ithuba nisazohluleka. Niyakwazi lokho, ingakho kungafanele nizosha amagemfe la kube sengathi maninikezwe lo mnyango ningenza okungcono. Angibonge kakhulu futhi ukuthi sihambile nabo njalo oza kwethu sayivakashela ibhedlela nabo njalo oza kwethu. Into oqala esiyibonile engifuna ukuthi ngiyincome kakhulu i-commitment yabasebenzi bezempilo. Kuyo yonke indawo la sihambe khona, we can all agree ukuthi as much as beshoda ebhedlela kodwa indlela abasebenza ngayo isinikeza ithemba. Lokho ngisho ngoba kunebhedlela esaya kuzona simemezelile, kwaba nebhedlela esaya kuzona singamemezelile. Kodwa noma sasingamemezelile sathola umsebenzi wenziwa futhi wenziwa ngendlela efanele. Angisho ke MEC wethu ukuthi enye izinto ebalekile ukuthi si support iDepartment of Health futhi sibheke inhloso mgomo ukuthi ziyini. You know, if you do not know the 2030 vision as articulated, mhlawumbe kufanele ukunje manje isikhathi asikho ngabe umuntu uyanifundela. Nizobona ukuthi ezinye izinto enikhuluma ngazo siyazenza futhi sisemgudwini wokuzenza. Iqiniso ukuthi when you are turning a ship noma a boat, mawujikisa umkhumbi omkhulu akufani nokujikisa nje isikejana esincane lezi enigibele esibiza ngamagondola. Mawujikisa lo mkhumbi esiuphethe sizama ukujikisa isimo esiphuma kuso, ibhedlela esiphuma kuzo sizoza manje ohlelweni oselwenziwe uyawubona umehluko. Asixabene bafowethu singabukani kabi. Ngiyafisa ukuthi ngigcizelele kutheni one of the very important areas that we targeted MEC is ibhedlela zalabo abakhubazeke ngokomqondo. Sivakashelile Matadeni, savakashele Vryheid, saye Fort Napier, Town Hill nase King Dunuzulu. Let me identify inkinga esiyayithola is the ailing infrastructure, especially in places like Fort Napier nase Town Hill. Kodwa ke sizwile ukuthi enye izinto eyenza ukuthi ingqalazinda ibe njengoba injalo, leza ndawo zayisetshenziswa njengendawo zamasosha kuqala. Kusho ukuthi kwakuyindawo nje la incarcerate khona abantu noma abantu babedantshwa khona ngoba emizima uyibuka yabona ukuthi ila kwakuyijele abantu bevalelwa khona. Now it's going to take time ukuthi ke sikwazi ukuthi siguqule, kodwa siyawubonga kakhulu umsebenzi owenzeka kuzona lezi ibhedlela. Enye inkinga abafike bayibeka lapha ya ebhedlela ezifana nase Town Hill nas yes particular Fort Napier ukuthi amafa abebanikeza inkinga kakhulu ngoba khona amabhilidi amadala okubona ukuthi angeke asasebenziseka. Lamabhilidi athatha beyingozi kulezi indawo ngoba ungaseviswa kwawo amabhilidi asengawa noma inini mangaqhamuka isivunguvungu ayawa. Kanti lezi ibhedlela zigcina abantu abanga esingeke sibabeke emqondweni okucabanga ngendlela efana neyethu. Ongabona ukuthi mabengangena khona mhlawumbe umuntu angazatholakala emva kwesikhathi eside esashona. Nokho ke ngenxa ukuthi kunelinye ikomiti engikulo siye sakhuluma no Arts and Culture, sakhuluma ngqo no CEO okuyena ophethe amafa njengamanje ukuthi sinenkinga la ebhedlela. Sijabule kakhulu ukuthi uCEO wakhona usithembisile ukuthi noma iyiphi inkinga ehlangana bezana nazo ngalamabhilidi abaye bathi bavuselela uthola ukuthi ayakhiwa amajalimani nematerial ayisatholakali. Bathi cha bangakwazi ukuthi benze concession ukuthi amanyawo basivumele ukuthi njenge Department of Health adilizwe. So ke socela ukuthi lezo ncwadi ezibonisa ukuthi la mabhilidi angeke asasebenziseka sizithole bese ke sikwazi ukuthi sibasize. Ngifuna ukuvala ngokuthi enye yezinto le engiyiqaphela ukuthi uma ngabe sisuke siye endaweni sifuna isixazululo sonke sihlale sivumelane bazongivumela noza kwethu ku-opposition sizivumelane masiphuma masenza ama-resolution ukuthi number 1 sizokwenza ukuthi number 2 sizokwenza ukuthi okuyi-turnaround strategy kodwa masasifika le endlini bese kuba khona futhi ukuhlasela okubonisa ukuthi ingoba nje abantu bese beqhakambisa ukuthi i-department yethu ayiwenza umsebenzi ngendlela efanele. Once more sifisa ukuthi sibonge kakhulu MEC ngeqhaza enilibambile noDokotela uShabalala ukwenza impilo zabantu bakwaZulu Natal zibe ngcono nokutholakala ngaso sonke isikhathi endingeka ngaso. Ibhedlela ziningi kakhulu kwaZulu Natal. Isimo sokushoda kodokotela akusona isimo kuphela sase South Africa, isimo sase Africa yonke ne South Africa neAfrica iyonke jikelele. Kodwa siyathemba ukuthi ngelinye ilanga indlela okufundiswa ngayo izingane zethu iyokwenza ukuthi sibe nabo dokotela abaningi esobaqeqesha senzele ukuthi shortage sikwazi ukubhekana nayo. Le iANC ke isazimisele ukuguqula impilo zabantu njengoba yathembisa futhi izosiqhubeka ikwenze lokho ngokukhulu ukuthembeka. Sisebenzisa wena dokotela kanye nethimba lo dokotela abanye abasebenzisana kanye nathi. Sineqiniso lokuthi le budget noma inganele noma ihleshulwe kwezinye indawo kodwa izowenza umehluko engathi ke inkosi ingasibheka sisakwenza lokho ngesibusiso sasezulwini nangenxa ukuthi okhokho bethu no Oliver Tambo bayafuna siguqule impilo zabantu ukuze siphile impilo engcono nge uthi ngiqoke
Ayisedlulile siphelile isikhathi sakho baba Bishop. Honorable members,
uthi ngiqoke.
those who have got the order paper will see that the honorable member was supposed to come here, tendered the apology, and through negotiations silently, we have arrived to the decision that the speech of Honorable Hlongwa Madlala will be taken over by the chairperson of all chairpersons in the legislature, Honorable S.A. Duma.
Thank you so much,
He
Mpazi.
is allocated 12 minutes for that particular speech.
Thank you so
Ntombi,
much, Mpazima, for your compassionate and indulgence and understanding of the rules. Let us greet everyone, in particular the MEC was just presented, and that has been taken already by the chairperson, Honorable Madlala Hlongwa. And let us just first thank the role that has been played by two doctors. A medical practitioner must be compassionate, must be selfless. What has just been displayed here by Iswati Lagitu Babu Shabalala no Babu Virane must be thanked by all of us in this platform. And it just shows that there is humanity amongst us as members and legislators, because Honorable Virane from a face value was very antagonistic, but he had to run when he sees the problem. So we want to just to highlight that, Chair. Let me proceed, Honorable Chairperson. The World Health Organization, who defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Isifundazwe sethu njengazo zonke ezinye izifundazwe sinesabelo mali esibekelo ukuphendula odabeni lwezempilo. Kusikelwe ohlelweni lokongamela umnyango administration, uhlelo lwezempilo ezifundezweni noma ezifundeni district, kanjalo kuze kufike ohlelweni olumele zonke izakhiwo zikahulumeni, kanjalo kuze kufike ohlelweni lwesishiyagalombili okukhuluma ngokuphathwa nokunakekelwa kwezakhiwo. Yonke lemizamo ibambele kusomqulu wenkululeko yabantu owaqanjwa ngonyaka 1955 eFreedom Charter, Honorable Chairperson, lapho ukukhuluma khona ngezindlu, ukuvikeleka kanye nempilo enethezekile. It is in this document where the design and aspiration of ordinary men and women are captured. in that a preventative health scheme shall be run by the state. Free medical care and hospitalization shall be provided for all, with special care for mothers and young children in particular. Honorable MEC has already presented that we are on the transitional journey to achieve what is currently happening. The aged, the orphans, the disabled, and the sick shall be cared for by the state, just to mention a few. Therefore, to realize these aspirations, the democratic government sent monies aside and determined through the annual performance plan their intention to fulfill these aspirations. Nalapha ke KwaZulu-Natal ngokunjalo mhlonishwa uNkosi kusukela ngonyaka 2018, 1920 kuze kube manje sibona isabelo zimali sikhuphuka ukuhlangabezana nosomqulu wabantu. Kanye nalokho kubhalwe embonweni wezwe iVision 2030, the NDP's long-term healthy outcomes are shaped by factors largely outside the health systems. Lifestyle, diet and nutritional levels, education, sexual behaviors, exercise, road accident and level of violence. At least the MEC today went overboard just to reflect of what must be done, although she was biased towards the male in particular, but she was holistic. We just take that as such. Our budget, however, very lean when it comes to these areas. Yet, these are the fundamentals we need to teach for us to reduce admissions and prevent sickness. Empeleni sikubone kakhulu lokhu ngesikhathi kuhlasela ukhuvethe ukuthi umnyango wezempilo uye wehlisa isivinini mayelana nokufundisa ngalamaphuzu ngenxa yesimo kade kufanele sibhekane naso abhalwe kusomqulu wentuthuko. Kuyajabulisa ke nokho mhlonishwa uMagujwa ukuthi usebalulile ngokwenyuka kwesibalo sabasha abakhulelwayo. Wabalula futhi ngokuzibophezela komnyango awuholwayo ukulwa kakhulukazi nokwehlisa kobhubhane lofuba nesifo isayfilis. Nakuba singeke saziqeda zonke izinkinga ngemlingo kodwa njengoba esho umphathiswa, but most of these things are dependent on our personal decision on a regular basis. So we must just be a conscientized society and it must be driven as such, which is why all the stakeholders should partake when it comes to this process of health. In KZN Health, status of children has improved as it's seen in the years 19, 20, 20, 21, with inpatient early neonatal death rate increased from 8.7 per 1,000 lives in 2019-20 to an average of 9.4 deaths per 1,000 lives birth. This estimate is below the national average of 9.7 per 1,000 live deaths. 2020-21, it further fell to within the SDG target of 12 per 1,000 lives birth. Kusho ukuthi imali yesifundazwe isebenza kahle kakhulu, siyakubonga futhi sishaya izandla lokho mhlonishwa. Ukunakela izingane zesifundazwe zethu okungezinye zezinto umnyango ozibalile futhi ohlelweni lalowo ukusebenza konyaka APP 22-23. We're also happy to know that 21 life expectancy KZN has improved and is higher than those of 2019 for both males and females, and this shows improvement in the provincial populace living condition of the past years. We usually take this thing for granted, Honorable Chairperson, the issue of life expectancy. It means that the department core fundamental matters are being adhered to. Siyasiza sizakala isimo sabantu bethu baphila iminyakana kungafani nohulumeni wakade khona ngaphambili ukuthi kwakunakwa nje abantu abayingcosana abancane laba bama-Afrika kakhulu benganakekelwa. Nakuba siyakujabulela ukwenyuka kwezimali esiloku sikubona njalo kusukela eminyakeni edlule, kodwa siphatheka kabi mhlonishwa uma sibona lo mnyango wezempilo ubalwa kanye neminyango engasebenzisanga kahle imali njengoba kunemali engaphezulu kwesigidi evela ohlwini laleyo mnyango efake izicelo ze-contribution to treasury. Although it is understandable that this is not your own making, Honorable MEC Smilan, however, it points to a weak systems and controls in the state which are greatly attributed to the cause of failure in administration. Should this be not arrested in time, siyanxusa egameni lekhongolose ukucela ukuba usazise ngezinto enizenzayo emnyangweni uqinisa ukuthi niyalwa nokusetshenziswa kabi kwezimali, ukulwa nenkohlakalo nokujezisa labo abathinteka kulezi zenzo zobunuku ngohulumeni ke esimgamele. The department's baseline allocation shows a negative growth in 22-23 and 23-24 due to budget cuts. Lokhu kuncishisa kwezimali zomnyango kushiya imali yokuhalela abasebenzi ingenele neze, okwenza futhi ukuthi laba abashiya kungabi lula ukuvala izikhala zabo. Siyajabula ukuthi umnyango usuliphothulile uhlelo ukukhombisa amanani adingekala ukusebenza kulomnyango ngendlela egculisayo. Nakuba kulesi sikhathi kuyinto engeke ibe nomthelela ngoba imali yokusebenzisa lolu hlelo ingekho kwamanje. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, we also note with concern that the COVID-19 contracted staff are only funded for 6 months at this stage. The department must explain to us on the methodology, how are they going to ensure other possibility they have to sustain these contract workers after 6 months. And on this one, Chair, I think you know it's directed straight to MEC and the HOD in particular. Goods and services also grow below inflation at 0.8 because of budget cuts. This will impact the department's ability to sustain the current levels of services. Like medicine, medical supplies, properly related payment are still underfunded on this stage. On ILHAC, the NDP states that the building a national health insurance system is an important objective. You've already elucidated a point, Honorable MEC, on this fundamental, which must be achieved by the province of KwaZulu-Natal. There are 4 prerequisites to its successes: improving the quality of public health care, lowering the relative cost of private care, recruiting more professionals in both the public and private sectors, and developing a health information system that spans public and private health providers. These reforms will take time and require cooperation between the public and private sectors and demand for significant resources to be implemented. Okuningi kwalezi zinto ezibalwe ngenhla akusenzeki kahle KwaZulu-Natal ngenxa yokuncisha kwezimali noma ngokuncishiswa kwezimali ezifaka ukuqasha abasebenzi ukusekela lo mbono. Lokhu kushiya imibuzo eminingi ukuthi kanti ukulwa nezifo kuyenzeka yini kanjani nxa uma kumgcini mafa uqhubeka nonciphisa isabelo sezimali zalo mnyango. We saw this during our visit to ILH, where we find weaknesses emanating from the head office circular HRM circular 1 of 2022, which deals with moratorium. Inkosi Albert Luthuli struggles with the following, and we highlight them: shortage of specialized and critical care nursing posts at the institution, shortage of medical technologists, clinical technologists, dietitians, physiotherapists, clinical psychologists, and administrative support posts, since these posts are regarded as non-exempted posts due to being deemed as non-critical. No SCM structure, organogram at the institution to carry out SCM functions at the hospital, resulting in irregular expenditure and stockouts. The institution is underfunded to provide central hospital service to the province. Sicela ukuba umnyango uqaphele lokho ukuthi kunabantu abafundisiwe umnyango baqeqeshwa kuso lesikhungo. Sibe nendlela yokuthi sibagcine ukuthi nathi sithole inani lemali esitshale ukwenza izimo zempilo zibe ngcono kakhulu. Isibhedlela sethu esikhulu kangaka akumele sifadalale. Ngakho ke siyanxusa ukuba umnyango kamgcini mafa novisi likaNdunankulu bawubonelele umnyango wezempilo ngokuthi lapho ucela khona ukuvala izikhala eziyisidingo esiphuthumayo bawuvumele umnyango uqashe, ngoba isimo sezempilo sibhaliwe ke nakusomqulu weConstitution yase South Africa ukuthi wonke umuntu kufanele isimo sakhe sibe kahle, futhi lapho kunesidingo khona ulekelelwe umnyango ukuba ulethe izidingo kubantu ngokusheshsha. Honorable Chairperson, into yesifundazwe ngokuvakashela izibhedlela zethu KwaZulu-Natal ukuthi abaphathi bezikhunga banalo ejubane lakho umphathiso. Ungathi ugijima kakhulu namphathiso, uphatha speed, bathi kushodozela kancane bona. Kokunye ungathi bangabaza ngezinqumo kumele bazithathe. Kokunye ukuswela ulwazi nokuba nengcindezi yangenza ukwenza ukuthi bangasheshi ukungenelela kwezinye izinto ezidinga ubona uqobo lwabo. Sihlalo sibonga kakhulu ngayo yonke impumelelo yomnyango abakwazile ukwenza, nalokho kumele bakwenze nalokho abayokwenza ekseni. Ngiyabonga sihlalo ukhongolose yasemukela isabelo sezimali. Siyafisa ke Honorable Chairperson ukubonga nokuhighlighta ukuthi the chairperson was supposed to table this, umhlonishwa uLinda Madlala, is back with us, strong, is seated at the back now, and we feel so privileged that we had to deliver on her behalf, and we thought we have done justice. And all the time because siyamazi ukuthi uyinxusho uma kukhulunywa ngomsebenzi wesizwe ilo kade kushicele phansi. Siyabonga kakhulu sihlalo.
Thank you very much, Lwandle. Sihlalo wabo bonke osihlalo kulesishamthetho sakithi KwaZulu-Natal. Njengoba ke umhlonishwa uDuma eseshilo, umhlonishwa uHlongwa Madlala ubukeka esesimweni esiright. Siyabonga kakhulu. We are continuing with our own speakers list. We are going to go to the next honorable member, who is allocated 3 minutes. This honorable member is speaking on behalf of the ATM because Honorable Phakathi is having some arrangement. That's what is in the rules, I'm told. This is Honorable S.E. Manqele. Bishop Manqele seems to be connected virtually. Honorable Bishop. The Bishop has completed his debate on behalf of the ATM. We're moving on with our speakers list. For 3 minutes is the Honorable Member from the Minority Front, and this is Honorable S. Thakur Rajbansi. Honorable Thakur Rajbansi is connected virtually. Yes, Honorable Rajbansi.
Functionality of governance structure.
Honorable member, your time is up. No, that was the problem, but the previous speaker was on. I don't know whether it had an impact on her video. I'm very sorry about that, but the voice, we could be sure about it. Honorable members, we are moving on with our debate for 10 minutes. We will get the speaker from the African National Congress. This is Honorable NPF Mavuso, Umhlolo Mkhulu.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Premier in absentia, Honorable members of the Executive Council, Honorable members of this House, distinguished guests, Honorable Chair, the financial situation of the Department of Health leaves much to be desired due to the numerous budget cuts. The information that is obtained in the following source documents indicates the financial status of the department. These source documents are: 1, the MTF budget hearings presentations to the Finance Portfolio Committee that was done on the 8th of April 2022 by the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Health. 2, the MTF budget hearings presentation to the Finance Portfolio Committee that was done on Wednesday, the 3rd of March 2021 by the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Treasury. The above presentations, Honorable Chairperson, indicate a negative growth in 2022-23 and 2023-24 due to budget cuts. We're seeing a budget that is not growing in line with inflation. The budget for compensation of employees is inadequate, and it makes it impossible to fill the vacant posts. Concerningly, Honorable Chair, all the employees that exit the system are not replaced. Also noting the minimum staff establishment plan that is to fill critical vacant posts is not implemented due to inadequate funds. And regrettably, the experience and the institutional memory is lost in the department. Concurrently, the COVID-19 contracted staff are also not fully funded, as they are only funded for 6 months. Consequently, this defeats the department's intention of absorbing such contracted workers. Chairperson, goods and services budget growth is below inflation at 0.8% because of the incurred budget cuts. Services like medicine, medical supplies, property-related payments, cleaning and security services will not be fully funded due to the insufficient funds. And the salaries of cleaners and security are regulated and need to go through the bargaining council. In addition, Honorable Chairperson, the cleaning and security services are the non-negotiables of the department. However, they are hugely underfunded. Subsequently, the department is unable to implement the minimum staff establishment as there is insufficient funding. Equally, medical legal claims are also underfunded. This makes it very difficult for the department to attend to the current medical legal claims due to underfunding and the inability of the department to reprioritize funding to this item. This then leaves the department to deal with the old cases so as to finalize them. On Program 8, that focuses on health facilities management, there were some cuts again against the buildings and other fixed structures, mainly due to the cut against the health facility revitalization grant, as this means projects will be rolled out over a longer period. and as of in-year budget pressures, the commissioning of Dr. Pixie Isaiah Seme Memorial Hospital that was planned for the 2021-22 was delayed to be commissioned in 2022. Considering the phased-in implementation process that is anticipated to commence in the first quarter of 2022-23 financial year. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, the department did a feasibility study and audited all the resources and saw the need of rationalization of services in the districts and the specialized hospitals throughout the province. The rationalization plan, Honorable Chair, is to counter the underfunding that is within the health system. Accordingly, rationalization of the institutions is done so as to improve efficiency and to ensure effectiveness of the facilities. It is done when there are facilities that offer the same services and are at close proximity. Admittedly, rationalization is done so as to ensure gainful employment of the staff against the available resources. It is further done so as to eradicate duplication of the skills and experience that gets redirected where needed. Rationalization is further, Honorable Chair, done when there is a trend of low bed occupancy rates and low demand for services. So we have facilities like Siloa Lutheran Hospital, St. Mary's and Marian Hill that have gone through this process. The department is consolidating rationalization of St. Francis Hospital in Zululand District. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, the National Development Plan aims to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality by 2030. This speaks to the importance of strengthening the health systems through sufficient funding that is sustainable, resilient, and inclusive. Strengthening the health system is critical to the supply and delivery of quality, affordable primary health care, and to the achievement of universal health coverage. Strengthening healthcare system needs a relevantly qualified healthcare workforce that will ensure efficient and effective service delivery systems to the communities and particularly the vulnerable people of our country and in particular in our province. Therefore, inadequate funding defeats the pillar of ensuring access to essential medicines as part of strengthening the health system. The ANC believes that the department will strengthen monitoring the strategy of assisting clinics in particular that are struggling in medicine supply, as some patients are complaining of not getting some medication due to some said shortages. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, the ANC supports the health budget vote, and the ANC is noting that despite all the challenges and the budget cuts, the department continues to do very well under the stewardship of the head of department, Dr. Shabalala, Mshengu Tongalamavuso, and the MSc. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mavuso, no Tongalagwini. Honorable members, we are continuing with our debate. Now I'm moving forward with my speakers list. There is an honorable member who is going to debate for 3 minutes. This honorable member comes from the ACDP, and this is Honorable S.A. Bishop Manqele. Babu Bishop.
It is interesting to note that the bulk of the
Oh, my bishop, your time is up, Honorable Bishop. The next speaker for 4 minutes is coming from the Democratic Alliance. This is Honorable R. Virana. Dokotela wethu.
Thank you, Chairperson. One of the important roles of the Department of Health and the MEC is to advocate for improved health care and the factors that lead to improved health care. MEC, one of the things that's ongoing in KwaZulu-Natal is the water crisis in the Ubud districts that's had a massive impact on the delivery of healthcare services there. We were informed on a recent oversight visit to the district that Port Shepstone Regional Hospital ran dry for 5 days with no water because the Ubud district did not have sufficient water tankers or zikalalas to fill their reserve tanks. So the practical consequences are the delays in cesarean sections and other emergency cases for 5 days. Even the dead were not spared by the crisis in the Ubud district. There have been severe delays in postmortems at both Parkreni and Port Shepstone state mortuaries due to the lack of water. Now, MEC, you sit with the MEC of Cocta in Cabinet, and now is the time to advocate for your patients and staff within the Ubud district. There has to be a resolution to this water crisis now. Now, there have been many complaints about the lack of budget by Treasury, but the Minister of Finance has made it clear that in South Africa's current economic climate that there is no additional money. We must do more with less, and the department must look at itself and its management of funds. Now, MEC, despite your promises, the department continues to achieve a qualified audit opinion, and the AG was scathing of the department leadership in her report this year. One of the major contributors was irregular expenditure, and the department is one of the biggest contributors and one of the largest irregular expenditures in South Africa, sitting at 11.5 billion rand, money that could have gone towards proper service delivery. You did highlight that the majority of these is due to the chronic evergreen month-to-month contracts in catering, security, cleaning, and medical waste services. Now, we have been pushing as the Democratic Alliance for the regularization of these contracts for years now. You cannot hide behind the appeals of the bid adjudication tribunal. The problem is the dysfunctionality in the supply chain department within the department. What has happened to the Treasury intervention into the SCM? These on-again, off-again negotiations that have been going on between the Department of Health and Treasury is for years. MEC, what is happening with this intervention? The supply chain department is rotten, and that is why the appeals are upheld at the tribunal. Also, MEC, when will we finally get the appointment of a permanent CEFO? I mean, if the department, or if there was an Oscar award in this province for acting, it would go to the Department of Health. It's had an acting CFO for the past 10 years. This has to change, or else the financial management within this department will never improve, and healthcare will not improve as well. Thank you, Chair.
We are now moving on with our speakers list. An honorable member who is allocated 8 minutes to debate. She comes from Inkatha Freedom Party, and she is Honorable N.J. Kwanyana. Kwanyana, honorable member, take the podium.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, We welcome the 49 billion budget allocated to the Department of Health for the 2022-2023 financial year. But we are concerned that 6 KwaZulu-Natal districts have borne the brunt of the damage to healthcare infrastructure due to floods. The damaged healthcare infrastructure included 23 hospitals, 34 clinics, and community health centers. We believe that this will have a negative effect on the budget. Siyafisa ukwazi kumhlonishwa uNgqongqoshe ukuthi malini ezosetshenziswa ukulungisa ingqalasizinda ezibhedlela esicekelwe phansi izikhukhula. Konke akubekwe obala, asifuni ukuphinda sehlelwe isehlo lapho kwadanyizwa khona imali kuthengwa izinsiza ze-COVID-19. Namhlanje isamfoma amafutha imhlwehlwe kwabathile abahlomula ngokungemthetho kulolu hlelo. Sifuna ukwazi ukuthi imali yabakhokhi bentela izogadwa kanjani niyabazi nabangani benu. It is a well-known fact that more still needs to be done to ensure that healthcare is improved in KwaZulu-Natal. One of the many challenges facing our healthcare system is a lack of qualified doctors, nurses, and competent administrative staff, which has led to the unresponsive and cumbersome bureaucracy in the health sector, lack of accountability, and poor decision-making. Kodwa-ke ngifuna ukusho ukuthi uma lo mnyango wezempilo usaphethe ubudlapha nawe ngqongqoshe usasihambela nje imicaco uhambe uyoyidansela ungafake imask uzokwehlela lokho. We constantly read reports of hospital staff from administration
Order,
to nurses
please.
and
Order
doctors
to the
who
House.
mistreat patients or are indifferent to people's needs. If one asks community members about the staff of their local hospital or clinics, they will complain about being mistreated or ignored when they need help. The budget that is being tabled today before this House must fulfill its intended purpose. As we speak about billions of rands, it is essential that the people, even those in rural areas, see a change when it comes to healthcare services. This budget must be spent prudently. We want to see the department getting a clean audit outcome without findings. From the outset, the IFP wants to see the health budget addressing the most pertinent issues that are affecting the proper functioning of hospitals and clinics. These issues are: 1, staff shortages in hospitals and clinics; 2, shortage of beds, as it has been the case with Northdale Hospital, where patients were allegedly sleeping on the floor; 3, aging infrastructure; 4, the need to provide hospitals with necessary resources; 5, improved security in hospitals and clinics; 6, building more clinics closer to the people. The IFP welcomes the allocation directed to the infrastructure, as the department plans to spend 6.7 billion over the medium-term expenditure framework on infrastructure. This includes a number of projects, such as Osindisweni Hospital, where 57 million has been budgeted for the construction of a new multi-drug-resistant TB unit. In the King Tashwa district, 41 million has been set aside for the roof repairs and asbestos removal in clinics. At Grace Hospital, 29 million has been budgeted for roof repairs and upgrades to the accommodation facilities for doctors and nurses. At RK Khan Hospital in Chatsworth, 25 million has been budgeted for major electrical upgrades. At Northdale Hospital, an amount of 20 million has been set aside for roof repairs. This is commendable, but time frames must be met and funds must be spent on their intended purposes. With the losses to corruption, further, we welcome the 11.736 million for the EPW integrated grant for provinces to create jobs, as well as the 449.155 million to cater for the stipends of a further 9,859 community caregivers. Further, the allocation of 1.5 billion to continue fighting the COVID-19 pandemic is welcomed. We, as politicians, we must continue to encourage people to prevent the spread of COVID-19 by encouraging them to vaccinate. Honorable MEC, the IFP wants to remind you that this budget is not for the following: 1, corruption through the awarding of tenders that flout supply chain management procedures, as has been the case with PPE procurement; 2, medical legal claims for hospitals which take a large chunk of budget. This unfunded mandate is a cause of serious concern. Medical legal claims increased from 20.1 billion in 2018-2019 and to 23.4 billion to 2019-2020. The MEC must address this elephant in the room. We want to see people contributing to this cost of medical negligence in hospitals and clinics that be held accountable and made to pay those claims. These huge amounts spent on claims clearly indicate that the department is not implementing measures to prevent medical legal claims. Irregular expenditure, as the department incurred irregular expenditure of 9.92 billion during the 2019-2020 financial year. The AG was unable to determine whether any further adjustments were necessary to the movable assets, stated at 5.5 billion, as well as minor assets stated at 944 million, respectively. The department incurred 1.43 billion in unauthorized, irregular, and wasteful expenditure without following the prescripts of the law in relation to non-compliance with legislation in ongoing multi-contracts for cleaning services, security and medical waste removal. This must be addressed and those found responsible must be held accountable. The time for complacency is over. Paying contractors who have taken the department to court for failure to honor the contractual obligations, as was the case with two security companies, LK Security and Sharks Protection, which are suing the department for 24 million over breach of contract signed in 2014. Further, the department is sued for 1 million by an e-hailing driver who was assaulted by Mofoko security guards in Kzn Hospital in February this year. When visiting hospitals and clinics, our people must feel that they are visiting places that would save their lives, not a slaughterhouse. In healthcare, the days of business as usual are over. The IFP is concerned about the delay, MEC, in opening the Prince Kaisaga Hospital. We do not want any excuses. The hospital must be opened to the public immediately. Billions have been invested in this hospital, yet it is not fully operational. The time for a phased opening has passed. People want to see the hospital operating at full capacity. We do not know whether the delay is the recruitment process for staff is due to the fact that the Honorable MSc might be considering quota deployment. We are aware that the ANC Provincial Elective Conference is scheduled for this year. Therefore, the MSc could be trying to allocate positions at Prince Kaisaga Seme Hospital for ANC comrades participating in the conference to gain votes for those who are aligned with the MSc faction. While the IFE commends the department for its plans, we to increase
Your time
average.
is up, honorable member. Your time is up, honorable member.
Honorable MEC, or MEC.
No,
Ngiyabuza
honorable
ukuthi uyathetha.
member. Your
Kodwa I'm
time
feeling
is
the
up.
facts.
Your time is up.
We support the
Mhlonishwa
budget.
wami.
We support the budget. Kodwa ngisazobona kahle nini.
Awu kodwa ma ulaka selungaka mhlonishwa. Honorable members, we are continuing with our speakers list. Yes, honorable member, can you indicate which rule that is encouraging you to stand up?
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. It's out of order 52, Chair. The member is saying, "Tinzobona kahle kodwa nina." We can't threaten members inside the House, Chairperson, and you just ignore it, please. Please ensure that you address that matter, Chair. Thanks.
Understand that, but honorable member, can you take your seat? No, I did my best, honorable member, to protect you. Despite the threats that you are giving, I protected you. Honorable members, I'm continuing with the debate. We are inviting the honorable member who is allocated 12 minutes. This honorable member comes from the African National Congress, and this is Honorable N.R. Majola, and she is connected virtually, honorable members. Your time is up, honorable member. Thank you very much. Welcome, Honorable Nkonyeni. Honorable MEC Nkonyeni, who comes from the another budget speech for community safety and liaison. At the top, colleagues, we are now coming to the response by the MEC for health in KZN. And I have been told that her time is 12 minutes. So, honorable member, you are responding for 12 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Asibonge kakhulu Sihlalo. Sihlalo, umama uGumede, honorable member uGumede says we have been providing, or we've been saying sizo provide ama reports, and we've not done. And she mentions a few other things, including rationalization and minimum staff establishment. Now, Sihlalo, a budget speech is to provide policy direction. I can't be coming here and be talking on reports. These reports are reports that have been provided to the portfolio committee. Now, if our members request reports, we provide them and they don't read them. Ngeke sibavulele thina. Thina okwabo ukuthi siwanikeze ama report. If you don't know how to use your laptop, sizokwenza njani thina? We've given you the reports, go and read them. Chair, we are the first ones to acknowledge the problem esinayo with the issue ye staff challenges. The first ones. The members akhuluma lana, opposition akhuluma ngokuthi asina staff asina. It's me who went to the portfolio committee and indicated that our general workers are a problem because they're understaffed. Our nurses are overworked. Our nurses are a problem because enza umsebenzi abantu abaningi. I've been saying this for the past 2 years. Even today, it's the first thing I said. Now, why come and grandstand on something that we said ourselves? On a problem we raised and we provided a solution, and while we were getting into a solution, we then had a pandemic. Sasokwenze njani makhona iCovid bakwethu ngoba phela yayingathintanga thina sodwa kwi-department yayithinta umhlaba wonke. Mhlambe ke kwaGumede yayingekho ngeke sazi. So you know, it's just not right to come and grandstand on things as ngenasting. When you deal with health issues, as it was said earlier on, asingakwenzi ukuthi kube political. Honorable Virana Cheng, ngimbonile namhlanje ukuthi hayi ubevele ngazi ukuthi uzothini. Kusho ukuthi nje udecide ukuthi uzothatha konke esihlale sikusho azokukhuluma la. He speaks about the department and a problem in underfunding. We are the first ones to say that. By the way, the portfolio committee led by the chairperson has said in the committee, this department is underfunded and they will work to make sure that we are assisted. Now, yena, inteshiwe portfolio committee isho kahle, ngobe ngazi ukuthi uzothini, uyiletha uyenza ibe negative. Kodwa ke simjwayele uhlale ekhuluma kanje nakusa. Angifuna ukusho lokho ebengizokusho Sihlalo bezongixosha la kwi-podium. Uthi ke ngo-2020 and 2021 si-underspendile. Chairperson, i-appropriation ka-2021 akhuluma ngayo u-Honorable Villan, what exclusively appropriated funds for COVID-19. Now, if we had not spent zonke lezo imali, bese ngaphinde siyisebenzisephi. They had to go back. They had to go back because they were purely meant for COVID-19. So we couldn't use them for employment. We couldn't use them for any other infrastructure. We could not use them for anything else that we needed in the department except for COVID-19. Manje ke uma ngabe siphinde sifika uma sekwenze kokunye kufuna sikushintshe hayi kuba nengxakana. On stock-out medication, Chair, we are not aware of areas where kune stock-out medication. Kodwa members of the portfolio committee and members of this house, uma behlangana ne problem, they call the head of department, they call myself, they don't wait for a budget speech and grandstand. By the way, the matter he's raising here, he's never raised in the portfolio committee. Because he knows that in the portfolio committee, we would have asked for evidence. We would have asked for specificity. Kuphi, nini, bekwenze njani. And where there are challenges, we are the first ones to go and correct. So why grandstand when you can address and deal with issues? By the way, not more than 2 weeks ago, we to messages and said I must attend to a particular matter. So on other issues, he calls, where's the new young Kotlo? How? When's the njani kanti? Ngeke phela sidlale yena. Uthi u-Honorable Virana angifike la kwi-budget speech Sihlalo. Ngizokhuluma ngama-details a report ye minimum staff establishment, budget speech, an operational matter, a matter that we reported to go 2019 we portfolio committee, Saikuluma go 2020 we portfolio committee. This very same year, in the last 2 portfolio committee meetings, we have been discussing a minimum staff establishment. Kanti ikuphi lokho kufuna ngikusho la operational esingakhuluma kwi portfolio committee? The problem is not understanding your responsibility and your role and not knowing what to raise where. Angeke ngikhulume ngama details lana honestly, really. Kanjani manje? Now, on matters of water in Port Shepstone, Chair, you see, we had floods. We had floods in eThekwini, we had floods in Port Shepstone, we had floods in Lembe and King Cetshwayo. All our facilities were affected in the coast. Now, when the whole of Port Shepstone does not have water for 5 days, where is the hospital going to get water from? Communities don't have water, not because communities went and broke pipes, not because the municipalities decided to close water. Amanzi nolwandle nemvula zithathe amapipe amanzi verani. Bese sizokwenza njani? What were we going to do? What were we going to do? We have not been part of the problem, water shortage as a Department of Health. We've not had a problem of water shortages in Ugu and Pakrin as a result of the habitual problems at Sokwini. Don't get me involved in things I am not part of. I will deal with challenges where the hospital does not have water. We get involved. We have not had a problem. Certainly, for 5 days after the floods, our hospitals did not have water. Not just Ekwini, everywhere in the coastal areas. And the departments, not just the Department of Health, not just COGTA, tried their best to make sure that we work together and bring water in the different facilities. And we did that. We did that at Ekwini, it was done at Lembe, it was done at Okwini, it was done at King Cetshwayo. Manje ubufuna ngwenze njani phela ngoba angwakhi mina amapayipi. Bengeke ngifike ngwenze abe khona kade bengekho. He talks about intervention, treasury intervention, where I should be accounting. Chairperson, the intervention at Treasury was a 5th administration intervention. Now, in the 6th administration, and I'm saying this, Chairperson, in the portfolio committee, Honorable Viran has raised the matter, has been clarified by Treasury, by Department of Health, including the Chairperson. There is no intervention in the 6th administration. There was never an intervention in the 6th administration. So angiyazi lo ufuna ngi-accountele. Kusho ukuthi usazoyifaka ke ngizozwa ngawo uma isikhona buso uyangitshela ukuthi ngireporte ngithini kuyona. Ama-interventions are never meant to last forever, Chair. They have a deadline, they have a lifespan, and they go according to elections as and when they come. Honorable Seja, usebalekile Honorable Seja. Angivamisile ukuvumelana naye kakhulu kodwa ke lapha ekuqaleni bengithi sizogcina sivumelene ngoba sihlalo ubekhuluma ngespirit i-portfolio committee had spoken to in relation to budget cuts, acknowledging that the department is not doing well, particularly when it comes to issue of staffing. And I was going to agree with him. I still do, by the way. Uguti, we do have challenges in terms of staffing, which is why we need to work together, the department and the portfolio committee, in ensuring Uguti sikwazi ukubalansisa sihlalo. Uguti, how do we use the funds that we have? To the best of our ability, because ngeke phela sisebenzisa imali engekho sithi siyaqasha sizoqasha ngani, but we will try and we are trying to use what we have to employ and at least get to the minimum staff establishment. Silahlekelana naye ke uHonorable Seja lapha esethi ama-oncology services kwi-department akolapsile hayi ke sase singaba sisatholana ngoba there is no oncology services in this province that has collapsed. From the moment there were challenges in the 5th administration, and those were fixed, we have had a very smooth sailing. That Eddington is working. Chief Albert is working, Grace is working. So akukho lapha okunenkinga khona. I'm not sure ukuthi inkinga uyithathaphi ngoba uyithatha uyibeka kwi-COVID-19 kanti phela during COVID-19 we didn't necessarily have a problem ye-oncology. Hayi ke kube kuba wese ubesethi ucela iward neward libe ne-ambulance layo sihlanu. Uyabona ama-proposals that come from members, we appreciate them, we welcome them, and we try and implement because the majority yawo are proposals that are actually implementable. Inkinga nje is when proposals are not practical. Because the proposal that is made must be practical in relation to monies that we have so that we are able to implement it. Zwakele, siyabonga kakhulu. You know, if members could learn from what you have just done, the portfolio committee's chairperson, the portfolio committee of health, went to mental health facilities, and a number of challenges about what they brought back to us for us to correct and so forth. One of the issues they raised as a portfolio committee is the town hill, yes, as a Fort Nepa and the town hill in terms of infrastructure, provided a report that says, Nati siyafisu kuyilungisa because we are worried. But Amafa are giving us problems, and we went back, you know, and gave the portfolio committee details. Honorable Dubeche, engatelwanga umuntu, understood ukuthi une responsibility yakwa health when he was in another portfolio committee, ehlangene nabantu bakwamafa. He decided in ngokwakhe ukuthi akayiraise le matter. As a result, what he's just giving us now is a solution ekusatha iminyaka thina as a department singakwazi ukufika kuyona. So this is what we are saying when we say members must be able to bring solutions, and they must be the ones ababa ma problem solvers. Honorable Dube has done that. Siyabonga kakhulu Nzwakele, and siyakubonga ukubambisana ngoba kusho ukuthi sizokwazi ukuthi siye phambili. Benginethemba ukuthi nizongabi nomona nishaya izandla bakwethu. Honorable Dube, on behalf of Honorable Hlongwa, mhlamba ngiqale ngokuthi siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi Honorable Hlongwa ubuyile sihlalo, and we can see ukuthi she's now better. We hope she is going to get better, uzohamba abona udokotela and akwazi ukuthi alulame. Siyabonga kakhulu Honorable Duma in assisting us. You know, ama condonations, as you are saying, is really worrying. Uguti, we will be requesting ama condonations angaka, and I think we should be able to work together with the department and finance and make sure that siyazi reducer wonke lawo costs, because finances must be managed properly and they must be managed correctly. But I do want to clarify that we no longer have the exempted and non-exempted category anymore. After we raised the matter in the House, Honorable Dube Ngube also went back to Treasury and came up with a solution and indicated that we'll be able to work together. Che amanye ama members angisafika ngakubona but ngiyabonga kakhulu ngama comments abo. Siyabonga shla.
Suke saphela mhlonini.
Phele sona.
Hayi siphele sona. Honorable members, and the guests of the MEC for Health in KZN, can we have order, please? Can we have order, please? I don't get order. Honorable members and guests, I wish to thank all of you for your cooperation and wish to draw your attention to the votes that will be deliberated on tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, the 11th of May, 2022, starting at 2 o'clock, 14 hours. The votes we are talking about are as follows. It will be the Human Settlements vote number 8, which will take place in venue A, which is this one. There will be the second one running concurrently, which is Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, which is vote number 4. That will take place in venue B, which is in the caucus room. Honorable members, before you leave, it's very important for you to know that you are expected to attend the division of revenue bill that is going to take place after now, after this debate. The Speaker will be handling that part. Once more, I wish to take this opportunity to wish honorable members and the guests a safe journey back home. But to the honorable members who are on virtual platform, we wanted to make them aware that they are going to move out from this link and go to the link which was given this afternoon. So, honorable members, thank you very much for your cooperation with some rough excitement that took place. Thank you very much. I hope you are going to wait for the Speaker. Thank you very much.